Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. The name of this title is Dummycrat Tuesday. I ain't gonna hold you guys up. Let me get this all set up for you guys. Good morning. Good morning. Might lose the Bears as far as Chicago because they're down on Brandon Johnson on petty stuff, and the governor blaming the mayor. They both blaming each other. It's crazy. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Matt. Jeffrey, good morning. Let's get into it.
All right, keep a straight face here. The Bears belong in the city of Chicago. The Chicago Bears belong in the city of Chicago, right? And I've said repeatedly that the door is always open for conversations, Kevin Warren did call me yesterday. We didn't get a chance to connect, and I still.
Good morning, Jeffrey from Rockford, Illinois. Good morning, Jeffrey. Good morning.
Is in Chicago, and it's evidence. The evidence is clearly speaking for itself.
Meanwhile, Governor Pritzker is really going after Mayor Johnson right now. Johnson went down to Springfield, took some shots at the mega projects bill. That's the one to help the Bears build a new stadium in Arlington Heights. Well, the mayor keeps saying he wants the Bears to stay in the city. Well, Pritzker is basically saying, okay, so what's your plan?
This is kind of typical. The mayor has shown up every spring at the end of session to pronounce what he would like to see happen. And as you know, the budget gets put together starting in November. I present my budget. Well, really, we start at the beginning of a fiscal year, but about in November, we're in the details of the budget. I present that budget to the legislature in February. So that seems like a good time period to come talk to the governor's office. Then there's February to May. There's all that time to come talk to the legislature, which has my budget in hand, or the governor's office. Again, we've seen almost nothing out of the mayoral administration here.
Boy. So we got to talk about the infighting that has broken out amongst Democrats in Illinois over the very real possibility of the Chicago Bears fleeing the state for Indiana. As you guys are aware, the Republicans out in Indiana have presented the Chicago Bears with a deal, a very tax and business-friendly deal, in order to entice them to move to the state. Okay, the Republicans in Indiana have worked very, very, very efficiently in order to present a scenario, a deal to the Bears, something that Democrats have had.
Now, watch how Democrats going to say the Bears leaving Chicago, going to Indiana, or maybe to Arlington Heights, going to be racist. Not knowing the fact, well, they do know the fact, they don't want to admit that if Brandon Johnson, the governor, took care of Chicago better than they did take care of the illegals, giving out, $1 billion almost for the illegals. That's crazy. That money went to the Bears. Now the Bears doing good. We got a decent quarterback. We're looking good. Now we might lose them because of this. Stop voting blue no matter who. This is what I'm trying to get to you guys out there,
Had a hard time doing in Illinois because Democrats are very bureaucratic.
Oh, y'all lost them too? Dang.
Don't really agree on much when it comes to the issue
y'all
of keeping businesses in the state, because you have a bunch of socialists that want to tax businesses out of the state, right? And because of that, their progress on enticing the Bears to stay in Illinois has basically stalled out, okay? However, there's a last-ditch effort and attempt, some legislation from Democrats in order to keep the Bears in the state. However, the Bears are already saying that, this is not enough. Right? They're basically rejecting the deal that Democrats
I didn't know that, Jeffrey.
And that is causing a whole lot of infighting.
That's crazy.
Right? There's now finger-pointing that is happening in public about whose fault that it is that the Bears are about to leave Illinois. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
For Illinois lawmakers, the Chicago Bears Stadium push just cleared a major hurdle in the Illinois House. But the final play is still ahead. Tonight, the Bears now weighing in. The team says this bill still needs work.
There are 78 voting yes, 32 voting no.
Illinois is one step closer to a deal after the Illinois House passed the so-called mega project bill, a key piece in keeping the Chicago Bears in the state.
Amen, Joseph. Amen to that. Thanks for being in the chat. Name is Deunta. Nothing wrong with Bible verses. We need the Bible verses. God is on this channel. This is a common sense channel. I love Jesus.
It comes after the bill's House sponsor, Cam Buckner, pushed through new amendments to lock in support.
This bill
That's
says
the lowest prayer right here.
To sit back and watch other states build the future while we argue over yesterday's tools. And this bill gives us the chance to compete and not compete recklessly, not compete desperately.
In the lead up to the full House vote, some leaders made it clear they don't believe this bill is ready.
Here's what happens. Local governments, they still have to fund schools. They still have to fund police and fire. They have to pay their bills. We already have a property tax crisis.
Kind of scratched up with the lowest prayer.
Gasoline on it.
The Bears bought hundreds of acres of land in Arlington Heights more than 3 years ago with the plan to build a multi-billion-dollar new stadium. Under the mega projects bill, the Bears or any other mega project developer wouldn't pay traditional property taxes. Instead, they'd work out a deal with local leaders to make what's called a payment in lieu of taxes, or pilot. Then by law, about half of that money would have to go back into property tax relief for homeowners. The Bears saying tonight, quote, "We welcome the progress made on the House's version of the mega project bill. However, additional amendments are necessary to make the Arlington Heights site feasible for our stadium project. We support."
But the people in Chicago, they're going to keep on voting for him because he's black. And that's stupid.
Illinois leaders as they determine the path forward to making the essential changes to the mega project bill and aligning on infrastructure funding. As the bill heads to the Senate, lawmakers here face a strong challenge from Indiana, which already passed legislation, including an incentive deal to entice the Bears to move across state lines.
It's a very strong deal in Indiana. The site is suboptimal. Arlington Heights is a more optimal site. But the problem with Arlington Heights is there is no deal there that the Bears can utilize.
Tonight, State Representative Mary Beth Canty, who represents Arlington Heights, applauded the passage of the bill. Governor J.B. Pritzker's office also saying in a statement this marks an important step and that any, quote, legislation needs to protect taxpayers.
Yeah, so you've seen that, you heard that. And now, what's going on here? The Democrats are desperate to keep the Chicago Bears in Illinois. So they're racing to pass this bill that the Bears are already saying, this.
Well, it's more people dying in Chicago than it is the Iran war. More people are dying in Chicago than people dying in Iran, and that's crazy.
This ain't good enough, right? This is not enough to entice us to stay. Now, the issue is that you have Democrats like Brandon Johnson. He's also poo-pooing the bill as well, too, because he doesn't want the Bears to leave Chicago, right? So he doesn't think that the Bears should leave Chicago, but also at the same time, he doesn't want to actually entice them to stay, right? He doesn't want to give them what they're looking for to stay. And he also doesn't like the fact that the state is trying to put forth an effort to convince the Bears to move out of Chicago to Arlington Heights. Even though they would still be in Illinois, they'd be leaving Chicago. So the woke mayor is basically poo-pooing the bill from the Democrats here in the House.
Some say you're trying to kill a stadium in Illinois. Why was it okay to be all in on the Bears downtown, but it's not okay to be all in on the suburbs? If it's not Chicago, wouldn't Hammond almost benefit the city more?
Oh, Logan Square.
Well, first of all, I was in
Oh man, is that Western Avenue, right? Is that by Western?
Focus our energy there. In fact, for the last couple of years, Springfield has gone silent on the Bears. I was elected to defend Chicago, and I still believe that the best place for the Bears to play is in the city of Chicago. I don't know why, we would incentivize the Bears to take jobs outside of the city of Chicago. I don't know why we would incentivize property tax reprieve that they would receive when they don't have to pay property taxes in Chicago, right? Because it's
I grew up around Western and Roosevelt. I'm a west side of it, yeah. I think I worked in Logan Square too as well.
Publicly owned stadium. It would remain a publicly owned stadium. The best viable location for the Chicago Bears to play is the top tourist destination. I'm going to continue to work with city council, with the state legislature, with the governor to continue to build safe and affordable communities. And the way in which we can do that is by creating 20% more green space downtown on the lakefront with thousands of jobs, and people can benefit from it economically. We're building a soccer stadium. The 1901 project on the west side of Chicago. We're building a brand new hospital for the first time in 100 years on the south side of Chicago.
Come on, Angelo, don't do that, Angelo. Not Hellman.
It's happening at a time in which our airport is the busiest in America. More tourists are coming here than any other time in the history of Chicago. The best place to do business is in the city of Chicago. All right, thank you.
Garfield Park? Oh, man.
That's not true, right? Apparently.
So you bad, but that's Jackson
in downtown Chicago are saying. That's certainly not what the Bears are saying. This guy is full of it. But that actually is a pretty good question about, well, low key, if the woke mayor doesn't want to give any type of real benefits, right, or to entice the Bears to stay in Chicago, the next best thing is not for the Bears to move to Arlington Heights. It's actually for the Bears to move to Hammond, right, to move to Indiana, because the site for the Bears out in Indiana is only like 10 to 20 miles outside of Chicago. It's still basically in the Chicago area, right? The Chicago metropolitan area. The Bears moving to Indiana.
Right. I used to kick at the Circle over there on Washington and Harrison area. And Hammond and Lake area. Hammond and Lake by the Green Line.
Honestly, again, would be the second best case
scenario
for the woke mayor if they choose to leave Chicago, which they've already indicated that they're not staying in Chicago, right?
Damn.
It's either going to be Arlington or it's going to be Indiana. Again, this is kind of funny to me because behind closed doors, the woke mayor and J.B. Pritzker are not getting along, right? They're not on the same team, right? I mean, they're both far left. Like, let's keep it 100. But the woke mayor and its governance of Chicago doesn't necessarily make
230. Thank you guys. 230. All right.
For president in 2028, and he definitely doesn't want to be seen as being in bed with a guy like woke mayor Brandon Johnson, who has an approval in the single digits. So I'm just saying that there's more going on here, right? In the sense that for the woke mayor, the second best outcome in this whole situation is for the Bears to actually move to Indiana, not Arlington Heights, because Arlington Heights would be further away. It would take more jobs away. It would certainly negatively impact Chicago more so than the Bears moving to Indiana, because the Indiana spot just so happens to be very, very, very close to Chicago, right? I mean, they're basically just, moving down the road, right, by going to Indiana.
Now, you about the Mexicans at that time. Cicero and Van Buren, that's all Mexican area almost.
And in my opinion, it really indicates that there's a lot more going on here, that he could purposely be trying to sabotage the Democrats at the state level by pushing the Bears out of the state altogether. And one of the reasons why I feel like my theory is probably somewhat correct is because J.B. Pritzker has now come out and threw Brandon Johnson under the bus for not having
Angelo, that's what's up, man.
The Bears in Chicago, right? So this is a full-blown public argument here between the woke mayor and the woke governor. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Well, that's a conversation between those municipalities and the Bears. As to the prospects for passage of a bill, or what might happen with the Bears. I mean, I would say I know that the mayor has no plan. He has come up with
under the bus.
How the Bears would end up in the city of Chicago. So that's problematic. I'd love them to be in the city, but
he was a minority.
Now, and he still has no plan.
That's funny, Matt.
So the Bears have said publicly, and I think they said so last Friday again, that they have now only two options, and that's the state of Indiana or Arlington Heights. We would like them to stay in the state of Illinois. And so I'm fighting hard to make sure that they can do that. And also, very importantly, because my North Star is protecting the taxpayers of Illinois, that we have something that works for the state of Illinois that's fair, as we are being fair with other businesses that want to come to Illinois or expand here, that we're being fair in the allocation of support.
Yeah, it's a big difference
for
now.
business expanding in the state while also protecting taxpayers across the state. That's in the legislature's hands, as you know. I mean, I put the structure of a deal together with the Bears, and now the Senate has some work to do. I think, they're going to make changes to the bill, no doubt. But I would expect that we'll see something before May 31st, and that they would, both houses, the Senate and the House, would vote on that.
Yeah. So you've seen that, you heard that. Full-blown disaster for Democrats, right? So there's a last-ditch effort.
How you doing, James?
By the legislature.
Welcome to the chat.
Get this bill passed in order to entice the Bears to stay. The Bears are already saying, hey, this deal kind of sucks, right? We're going to need more. We're going to see if Democrats can come up with more. But at the same time, you have the woke man, Brandon Johnson, undermining that effort by basically saying that, hey, I don't like the fact that they're trying to lure the Bears out of Chicago, period, right? So he's now undermining the Democrats. Now, I don't know how much his influence will affect whether or not the bill actually gets passed, right? But the reality is that clearly Democrats are infighting, and their infighting is what's stopping them from putting together a deal to keep the Bears in the state, right? Whether it be Chicago, Arlington Heights, doesn't matter.
Good morning.
The infighting is what's stopping them, right? Because you have the socialist wing of the party that believes that, hey, we can't give out these types of tax breaks, right? We can't make our state business friendly, right? We can't do that, okay? We can't do that. And that is what's driving the Democrats to not put forth a bill that is favorable to the Bears staying in the state like the Republicans have done out in Indiana, right? The Republicans have said, hey, look, we're open. We're ready for business. We understand that this is an investment. You come here, you're going to bring tax dollars, you're going to bring tax revenue, okay? And we're not trying to tax all of it away, right? We want to incentivize growth, okay? You're going to bring jobs, you're going to bring opportunity, you're going to bring economic development. We want it, right? And we're willing to work with you in order to make it happen. Democrats, on the other hand, again, is bureaucratic, is very slow. They
definitely slow.
Really, again, ideologically speaking, there's a lot of pressure on them not to play ball, right? Because again, the base of far left lunatics believes in the whole tax and rich stuff. Brandon Johnson being one of them, right? And that's part of the reason why he doesn't have a plan out in Chicago. And J.B. Pritzker is criticizing him because had the woke mayor actually did his job, right?
The Bears would be still.
This wouldn't be that much of an issue. But Brandon Johnson is part of the reason why the Bears are leaving in the first place. And now he's trying to undermine the Democrats, keeping them in the state, period, right? So we're going to see what happens. But I'm hoping that infighting.
Right. I got some good videos for you guys lined up.
Requiring Democrat states to represent or to.
These racist maps have got to go. Hey, hey. These racist maps have got to go. Ho, ho. These racist maps have got to go. Ho, ho. Have got to go.
They wearing red hats. I know they ain't no MAGA hats, but it's funny they wearing red hats though. That's funny. That's some funny stuff there.
That's right. Give it up for yourselves, black people. Look at us, y'all. Look at this blackness.
across the southern part of this country. The latest state.
If a white person said, look at this whiteness, they'd be going crazy saying it's racist. The hypocrisy on the Democratic Party side or the lefty tards is amazing. We know you black. We see you.
Is South Carolina. Republicans are ramping up efforts to unseat Congressman Jim Clyburn. After 30 years in office, Democrats' rhetoric is getting pretty heated.
Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock said it was a, quote, 21st century version of Jim Crow in new clothes. Do you agree?
Absolutely, I agree.
Young man who was testifying against redistricting out in the South. And he said something very true. That MAGA.
Yeah, you want to keep on taxing the billionaires like the billionaires going to stay. And not for keep on paying them high-ass taxes or taxes like that.
There are people in this hostile anti-black administration that would rather black Americans pick cotton than pick the president, than pick their congressperson, than pick a senator.
If Republicans decide that they want to cut black people out, this is a national issue.
Boy. So we got to talk about the Dummycrats who spent this weekend boo-hoo-wide and crying after realizing that they're absolutely cooked, defeated when it comes to the gerrymandering / redistricting war. I think that everybody should understand by now that Democrats and their attempt to gerrymander Virginia to the point where Republicans will basically have no representation at all led to Republicans now redistricting the whole South and taking away Democrat districts that just so happened to be black districts. We're talking about race-based districts, right? Jim Crow. Republicans are getting rid of Jim Crow and racism in the South, and Democrats are losing their minds because their little plan out in Virginia didn't work. Okay, the Virginia Supreme Court struck it down as unconstitutional. Democrats didn't follow the rules. And then the Supreme Court declined to intervene.
Right, but the Democrats voted against the Civil Rights Bill, but nobody do their research on that, and that's crazy.
After Democrats begged the Supreme Court to get involved. It's funny how that works. Maybe Democrats should not have run around here calling the Supreme Court illegitimate, right?
Stupid.
Especially considering how
they
go run into the Supreme Court begging for help when they can't get their way. So Democrats, they have decided that they're going to pull up to the South, right? They don't have any other options. They can't really gerrymander any more Democrats.
California turning red, really finally.
That much they can do. Okay, the only thing they can do now is to do what they always do, which is to basically incite the radical lunatics, okay, they're base of lunatics, to try to get out and to vote, right? And that is what AOC did, right? She claims that it is now time for the North to pull up to the South. Okay, this is what she claims. As Democrats went to Alabama in order to protest the redistricting that is currently happening in that state.
To make sure that we all understand that Montgomery is not alone, that you all are not alone. And for all of those watching today, when they ask, what do we do in this moment? I feel helpless. What action can I take? It is time for the North to pull up to the South.
Yeah, I heard about that too, bud. Trying to run, he wanted his wife over. That's crazy. You're supposed to be a man of God, man of faith. What is you doing?
To Georgia, to Louisiana, to Tennessee, to Mississippi, and let them know exactly what they have uncorked with this injustice. They think they can draw us out of power. They do not know the sleeping giant that they just awakened.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Considering the fact that Democrats have already drawn Republicans out of power in the Northeast, right? Republicans represent about 40% of the voters in New England, but there is no representation for that 40%. Now Democrats are crying foul because they get a taste of their own medicine. AOC claims it's time for New York to pull up on the South, to pull up to the South. And my only message to AOC is, pull up then, right? Pull up. Pull up. If y'all want to come down here, you want to campaign, fine. But I don't think that it's going to work out.
It's not going to work out. Them septic nose rings and blue hair freaks are not going to intimidate none of those conservatives down there in the South. That is a waste of time, straight sending them off. Insurrection right there.
Hey, that these individuals believe that it is, right? I don't think the AOC is very popular down here, right? I don't think Hakeem Jeffries is very popular down here. I don't think any of these Democrats are very popular down here. If they want to come and remind the voters how Cocoa Puffs insane the Democrats currently are, great. Awesome, right? I take the same position as Ron DeSantis when Hakeem Jeffries was like, F around and find out. We're going to come down to Florida. We're going to campaign. Okay, cool.
Campaign.
Right? Come down here and campaign. I don't think it's going to work out the way that they think, right? I think the last thing the Democrats should be trying to do is to bring a bunch of lunatics from New York, right? A struggling state, right? I don't think bringing a bunch of New York Democrats to the South is going to help Democrats. I think that's going to hurt Democrats. But again, you're seeing the outrage because they realize that they've been outmaneuvered by Trump, right? There's nothing else that they can do. They can't stop what is about to happen, okay? You have all of these states in the South getting rid of these blue districts. And just listen to the panic on BSNL.
They can't imagine that there are any black elected officials who are elected on the merits. I mean, we know California's map right now is a partisan gerrymander. We know that because Gavin Newsom passed a partisan gerrymander. We know that because the courts adjudicated a partisan gerrymander. Sam Alito said California was a partisan gerrymander. But we are going to see Republicans, not just in Alabama and Louisiana and Mississippi and South Carolina and Georgia, where it's bad enough. We're going to see them try to use this to try to delegitimize, to try to say it is illegitimate for any community of black voters to elect their candidate of choice, whether they make up 50% of the district or 70% of the district or 7% of the district, and that every black elected official is somehow suspect. And this is what I meant when I said this is the worst opinion of my lifetime. It is not just what Calais did to Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, but it is what it has unleashed and what we are going to continue to see. And so we all need to fight back in.
You know what's hilarious about this? Is that if you replace black with Democrat, then everything that he says is true.
Is Stacey using Ozempics? They're like she's using Ozempics, y'all. Wow.
Right? Any Democrat rep that's elected in the South, yeah, they're suspect, right? You're damn right. Any Democrat elected in the South is suspect. Correct. Absolutely. Yes, right? 100%. We don't believe it's legitimate. We don't. Okay? So, ultimately, at the end of the day, these people, they can't do anything but woo while they cry racism because they can't come up with any compelling argument. What is the compelling argument for why Democrats are allowed to do this, but not Republicans, right? That's the whole point of the race angle. The race angle is to distract from the pure hypocrisy of the fact that Democrats are openly admitting that, yeah, we gerrymander. We just don't like when Republicans do it, right? We don't like getting to taste our own medicine. So here you have Stacey Abrams. She's distraught, right, on BS Now, also melting down and crying.
Stacey, could you talk a little bit about how this ruling will affect black representation, not only at the federal level, but at the state level? I'm thinking state lawmakers, county commissions, city councils. To what extent will this ruling affect representation and the representation, particularly of voters of color, at the levels below the federal level?
Absolutely. And that's why I think this is such an important conversation to have at this moment. In a competitive authoritarian nation, which is what America is now, democracy is about ensuring that we have shared power and shared voice.
Ozempics,
It
y'all.
does not guarantee you victory, but it guarantees you access. Authoritarianism, especially competitive authoritarianism, attempts to diminish your ability to use those same democratic institutions to your benefit. With these new maps, we know that analysis by Fair Fight and Black Voters Matter show that we could lose 19 to 20 congressional seats, but we could lose up to 191 state legislative seats.
Wow, you hear that? 191 Democrat state.
My name is Braylon, and I live here in Memphis. I've been noticing not just a slight change, more of a detrimental change in like how peaceful Memphis is ever since the National Guard came. There was a lot of things I couldn't do. So
Luckett's is strong.
The National Guard came because I had to worry a lot about guns and stuff. I couldn't play because I was worried that somebody might pull out a gun or something. But now I can do that. And I just wanted to thank the President of the United States for bringing the National Guard. My name is
legislative
Braylon.
seats. So we're not talking about just congressional seats. We're talking about legislative seats as well, too, right? So you're talking about hundreds of Democrats getting voted out of office.
We got the kids back outside on their bikes. The lawnmowers back going. The dogs back barking. Memphis is looking real good out here, man. That's just right. Hey, man, you did some big one, man. Appreciate you for helping cleaning up Memphis. Hey, MPD, well, I don't even know what to say about y'all. I done walked to the store. Y'all got me a bag of ice. I ain't walked to the store in about 20 years. You ain't got to worry about no pow, pow, pow. You ain't got to worry about no. We got the kids back outside on their butt.
Right, losing their seats. So again, just ignore the word black. Just replace it with Democrat. And yeah, that's the truth, right? That is what Democrats are actually concerned about here.
And in the South, those state legislators draw city council districts, county commission districts, school board districts, and they draw state legislative lines. And so if you want to know if your child is going to have fair and equitable access to education, that will be diminished if your families can't participate in elections and elect leaders who value your education. If you want health care in the South, it's the state legislature that decides whether you have access.
Yeah, and people can vote, right? And see, the thing about this is that Democrats are positioning this as if voters don't have a choice. Voters do have a choice. Voters elect their state representatives, and the state representatives are the ones who decided to implement this map, right? So if the voters are not okay with the map, if they say, hey, this is not fair, we don't like it, they can express that. They can express that via voting. We saw what happened out in Indiana, right?
Right.
To Republicans who stood up against
Subscribe. Let's grow.
State. The voters said, hey, we don't like that. We want to redraw the maps. And they voted out those Republicans. So ultimately, at the end of the day, there's an element of democracy to this that Democrats are refusing to acknowledge, because democracy, when it doesn't suit them, right, when it doesn't benefit them, is an inconvenience, right? They don't like it, right? They can't stand it. But they only like democracy when it benefits the Democrat Party. That's it. Because Stacey Abrams, again, is refusing to acknowledge the fact that the state representatives are doing what their voters elected them to do, period. And if the voters don't like the maps, the voters can vote and kick those people out, right? Or they can keep them in. You know, like, ultimately, it comes down to the voters.
All of the things that disproportionately harm communities of color will now be decided by people who disproportionately dislike and vote against the needs of people of color. But what we have to remember, and this is why I started the 10 Steps campaign, this is a national fight. It may start in the South, but it has national implications. Progress that serves the most disproportionately harmed communities lifts everyone. But if we do not do so, if we allow the suppression of Black and brown votes, we are harming their neighbors and we're harming the U.S. And that's why we cannot allow the South to be left behind. We need national intervention because they are starting in the South, but this is a national attempt to misuse democratic institutions to suppress all of the communities who fight for democracy in this country.
Yeah. We need national intervention.
Wow.
Right? What does that actually mean? What that means is that she wants Democrats at the federal level to force Republicans to go back to the racially drawn maps that benefit Democrats. If anything, they're going to force red states to draw maps that are even more beneficial for Democrats than the maps that the Republicans are currently getting rid of. But let's be real. Let's be honest. Democrats keep talking about how they want national legislation or gerrymandering, right? Does anybody really believe that Democrats are going to get rid of the gerrymandered Northeast, right? Does anybody really believe that?
Right.
I mean, seriously, nobody really believes that Democrats are going to draw fair maps in their states. They're not going to. What Democrats actually really mean, what Stacey Abrams actually really means, is that when we take back power, if Democrats take back power, they need to pass legislation to force red states to capitulate to Democrat demands, while at the same time not requiring Democrat states to represent or to have Republican representation. They don't want that. They'll never do that, because let's be real. if they drew actual fair maps, considering how most liberals in this country live in the city, right? A vast majority of liberals live in the city. If they drew actual fair maps based off the geography of this country, and the vast majority of the country is red, right? Geographically speaking, yeah, we would still have more seats, right? Democrats will have way less seats, okay, than they got right now. So let's be real. Let's be real. Democrats do not want fair maps. They just want maps that are heavily in their favor, okay? And again, the argument here is that, well, Democrats believe in democracy and institutions, except when you actually listen to them talk, they don't believe in that, right? Like, for example, Gavin Newsom, he's going to boo-hoo, whine, and cry about black voters, okay, racism, Jim Crow 2.0.
Stone cold racism in a scale I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Never have seen in my lifetime. It's all happening. Bring us back to a pre-1960s world. It's jaw-dropping what's happening. It was jaw-dropping what Governor Landry did. He suspended a primary election where tens of thousands of people had already voted. Why? To redistrict 2 districts to eliminate black representation. I can't believe that we're experiencing this.
Well, I mean, he was forced to use a court-ordered map, right? A map that the courts forced him to use, and then that map got struck down by the Supreme Court. So why would you have an election based off a map that you were forced to use by a court whose opinion is no longer valid, right? It doesn't make sense, right? Why would you have an election with maps, districts that are currently legally not valid, right? They're not valid anymore. So, I mean, you know, this guy is trying to pretend like what the GOP is doing is so terrible. It's like, no, people can still vote. You're just going to have to vote again because the initial votes that were cast were based off a map that was fraudulent, right? A map that was imposed upon a state by the courts and not the map that the Republicans wanted in the first place, that was passed, that was lawful, right? That should have been allowed, okay? According to the modern reading interpretation of the Voting Rights Act, courtesy of the Supreme Court.
My parents talked to me about this, and I said, well, thank God it's not going to happen in my lifetime. And it's happening in real time. Anti-woke is anti-black. All these attacks on DEI, it's anti-black. Level of racism is sick. Rewriting history, censoring historical fact. A number of African Americans have been eliminated from key positions and posts. The Pentagon and elsewhere, it's sick. It's happening in the United States of America in the open. And it needs to be called out. So forgive me for reacting this way. And I feel a deep responsibility to do something about this. Nothing to do with me as governor, just as a human being. This is not why our founding fathers lived and died. It was about the expansion of liberty, expansion of freedom, including more.
I'm an American. I'm not an African American. I'm an American. This African stuff, all these, you know what I'm saying? That's how you get the people triggered. Africa, Jim Crow, emotional words, man. And they sure work with these Democrats and leftards.
More people. And we're seeing exactly the opposite take shape under this administration.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Because if you listen to these people talk, they don't actually believe any of this stuff. They don't. Like, for example, Gavin Newsom claims that he has a secret break the glass plan to prevent California from electing a Republican governor. Now, you guys tell me, what is democratic about what Gavin Newsom is going to say here?
When you spoke about accountability, you think Democrats will hold you accountable for standing by this principle of neutrality by withholding your endorsement in this non-possible scenario that you grew up couldn't take it?
Yeah, look, my focus has been making sure that doesn't happen, and I've exercised not just a focus, but I've exercised through some action.
For real, anybody that's I'm 43, so I know I'm not African. I'm 100% American.
Efforts to encourage that doesn't happen by making my case, and will continue to make my case. I do not see that scenario taking place. I've said this before, so I'll repeat it. I don't anticipate this need to be the case, but there is a break the glass scenario, and there's many people that have a deep understanding of what it would look like if Democrats were locked out, and we're going to do everything to make sure that doesn't happen. I'll leave.
Wow.
And then these politicians, they come in broke as hell. Obama broke as hell. Now he's a multi-millionaire. Nobody's upset with these politicians coming with no money and they leave with millions of dollars. Well, it's outrage for that. And they constantly telling you to tax the rich. They rich. What the heck? I think they passed the bill to make it where it is. If they have another lockdown, nobody get paid in Congress. And I hope that does go. I'm not for sure if they did or didn't. But I know they presented it. I hope they do, because that's crazy. They have a lockdown. People can't get paid, but they get paid. Not cool.
So Gavin Newsom said that Democrats have a secret break the glass plan to prevent California from electing a Republican governor. So if Democrats are locked out, aka if 2 Republicans end up moving on to the general election, which is possible, right? It's possible. Unlikely, but possible. Gavin Newsom is openly saying, look, we have a plan to overthrow democracy. I'm thinking that what he's hinting at is a recall, right? If a Republican is elected, then they'll do a recall election, right? I think that's probably what he'd do. He'd lead a recall. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. That
does sound suspicious.
The Democrats don't believe in democracy. Gavin Newsom basically said, look, we're not going to accept the results. If Republicans end up winning, because you have 2, Republican nominees that advance to the general election or whatever, then yeah, we have a break the glass plan, right? We have a plan to overthrow democracy. We're not going to let that happen.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Amazing. But these are the same people that claim they believe in norms and our institutions, right? This is what they claim. But ultimately, it's all about their power and control. What they're really concerned about
for the people.
is the fact
not for the people, but for themselves.
Democrats
that's the problem.
These seats because of their bad policies, and you have these maps being redrawn where, again, Democrats are losing seats, but they're also going to lose more seats because of the fact that the census is going to adjust the amount of representation that they get, the amount of electoral votes that they get, due to the fact that these blue states in general are losing large portions of their population due to bad policy.
Trends that really should set off a flashing
that's what it is, Jason.
to Democrats nationwide, while bringing a big smile to the faces of Republicans nationwide. Why do I say that? Because take a look at the big population gainers versus the last census back in 2020. According to the latest population estimates that take into account the population mid-2025, look at this. The biggest population growth this decade, all 5 of the states that Donald John Trump won in 2024. Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and of course the great state of Arizona, where I spent my New Year's Eve. I love those folks out in Prescott, Arizona. These were the biggest gainers in terms of population compared to the 2020 census. Now, it's not just a red state boom. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at a red state boom here, but it is not just a red state boom. We're also looking at what I would dare call a blue state depression, because who are the people? Who and where are the people moving from into the red states? Well, they're blue states. They're blue states. Take a look here. The lowest domestic net migration this decade. All 5 of the states that were won by Kamala Harris in 2024. Look at this. California, Harris's home state. New York, where I'm coming from right now, of course. Illinois, New Jersey, and of course, the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is a bastion of blue liberalism.
Yeah, that's Greg Foreman.
Yeah. States that folks in the United States are moving away from and into the red states, which is propelling a red state boom. Now, this is interesting, right? But it could also have major political ramifications if it holds for 2030, the next census. Because take a look here. If, in fact, the 2025 population shifts hold for the 2030 census, look at this. Look at the House seat shifts by state. But remember, of course, we apportion the number of House seats depending on the population in each state. If, in fact, the 2025 population shifts hold for 2030, states that Kamala Harris won, they would lose. They would lose 7 seats in the United States.
Right, good one.
The states
remove the illegals from the census. Yep, it definitely would cause the Democrats to lose.
They would gain 7 seats. Now, this isn't just about the House of Representatives, right? It's also about the Electoral College, because the number of electoral votes that each state gets is equal to the number of senators. Each state, of course, has 2, plus the number of House seats that they have. So what would this mean for the House of Representatives? Well, if you remember back in 2024, right, it was all about, we were talking about the blue wall. If Kamala Harris could win the baseline Democratic states and then add in the blue wall states of Michigan, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, she would get to 270 electoral votes. But if all of a sudden we in fact have applying the 2025 estimates, the population estimates, to the Electoral College, the blue states plus the blue wall of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin would no longer be enough. Under the current estimates, you get to exactly 270 electoral votes, the minimum needed to win the Electoral College. If, in fact, you apply the 2025 estimates, look at that. You would only get to 263 electoral votes if you were a Democrat, which would mean a Republican victory. Now, of course, we're still a number of years away from reapportionment, right? We take the Senate.
Yeah. So you get the gist of what Democrats are actually really concerned about. So we're talking about them potentially losing seats in the House. Okay, we're talking about dozens, right? So you're talking about a dozen seats from the current redistricting that is happening right now. Okay, plus another half dozen or so, considering the census is going to be redone in 2030. And then on top of that, the Electoral College, the votes they're going to lose there means that they're going to have to actually win a lot more states, right, in the general election in order to win, right? It's going to make it very hard for Democrats to win because right now, if Democrats win the blue wall, right, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, yeah, I mean, they have a pretty good chance of winning. However, under this scenario where you have an accurate census count and apportionment to the states in Congress, in the Electoral College, yeah, winning the blue wall is not going to be enough, right? It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. And that's a disaster for Democrats, a complete and total disaster. This is why they want to abolish the Electoral College. It's part of the reason why they want to abolish it. It's because of this right here, right? But this is also why just common sense should tell people that Democrats are going to open up the borders if they take back power and control because they don't have a choice. That's the only way they're going to be able to save themselves from losing more seats. So they need illegals. They need people coming into their states. So that's part of the reason why I warn people and I continue to say, hey, we got to show up and vote. We cannot go back to where we were before 2024, right? We can't do that, okay? We have to continue to make progress in the right direction because if we don't, Democrats are going to take us to a place that we've never been in this country that's going to be a whole lot worse than what we experienced under Biden, especially on the issue of immigration, right? If you thought it was bad under Biden, just wait until you see what Democrats are going to do. They're going to let tens of millions of illegals into the country.
Right.
And then they're going to pass all type of reforms in order to make it almost impossible for Republicans to ever take back power, right? That's what they're going to do. And they're going to justify by saying, well, Trump was Hitler, Trump was evil, right? And we got to do all of this to prevent another Trump-like figure from running this country again, right? This is what they're going to say. This is what they're going to do. So understand, the panic from Democrats is that they're losing their power. When you look at the numbers, when you look at what all this stuff means, 5 years moving forward into the future, it becomes very hard for Democrats to be competitive as a national party, right? If all of this stuff ends up the way that it looks like it's going to end up, yeah, Democrats, they're going to have a hard time winning.
Yep, they have a hard time winning, literally. I'm going to play this right quick from X.
Let's talk about the new generation of women. You guys are disgusting. And that's for real. Now, I'm not talking about all women, okay? Let me say that. But a very big majority of you all are such low level, are such low class, classless, disgusting, embarrassing. You guys are disgusting. And then you get mad when people are not clapping for the ignorance. You guys are shameful. And because of your disgusting low-class behavior, Black women are at the bottom. People look at us as a science project. They don't understand us at all. The mindset, the way we carry ourselves, the things that we celebrate is so bad that men do not even want to commit to you guys. They don't want to be in a relationship with you. They just put you guys in situationships, pump you up with a baby, and there you go, another single mama. And then you guys want to celebrate that like that is something so big and something so, we're supposed to admire that. There is nothing admirable about that, okay? You guys are a reflection of bad parenting, a reflection of no parents, a reflection of fatherless behavior. That's what you guys look like. Okay, well, that's what you guys are. Put it like that. All right. And then again, you want to get upset when people are not clapping for the ignorance. You want to call it judging. You want to call it Yeah, it is judging. Okay. And if you was back in our day, yeah, you would be judged until your behind wouldn't even want to come out the door. Okay? Yeah, what you guys have decided to celebrate is horrific. People in other communities just look at us, all right? Because what you guys have decided to clap for is the most low-level behavior imaginable. People in other communities, they have husbands. They have families. They don't go around getting pregnant by men. And the type of men y'all be getting pregnant from. Nasty-looking men. Rugged-looking men. Men who don't even look like they take baths. And y'all ignorant self be up there, yes, girl, do it, do it. Do you know how dumb you sound? Do you know how dumb you look? But I guess I'd be dumb too if I ain't have no parents. I guess I'd be a dummy too if I had parents who didn't care about me. Yeah, I guess that's how it looked when you haven't been raised by nobody.
Damn.
Damn delusional, funky ass Democrats that get on the television and act like we're black people are ignorant. Y'all act like we're unlearned. Y'all act like we don't know no better. Y'all act like we're slow and everything. I'm gonna get to some bullshit that AOC said. And anybody that she's going viral with, she's only going viral with these are delusional leftists, ignorant thinking Americans that seem to continue day after day believing that black people votes are in jeopardy. Our votes have never been in jeopardy unless you got some lazy ass blacks that won't go out there and get the credentials that they need that will allow them to be able to vote, which is a fucking ID. Now I'm gonna get to this AOC and this old clown black boy that acting like he's Timu Martin Luther King. I'm sick of these bastards. I'm sick of how they are. I'm sick of them trying to stir the pot and cause some mass hysteria.
Welcome to the chat, Grumpy. Welcome to the chat.
They don't seem to understand your vote cannot be fucking taken if you are a natural born American citizen.
Hello.
Let's get to this heifer here, AOC.
Time for the North to pull up to the South. It is time for New York to pull up to Alabama. It is time for all of us to come to Georgia, to Louisiana, to Tennessee, to Mississippi, and let them know exactly what they have on court with this injustice.
Who the hell do you assholes think you are? I'm going to tell you why y'all mention all the southern states. Because y'all think we don't have no fucking sense. We got plenty of professional people in the South. Just like Jasmine Crockett said that we were poor, Texas poor, Georgia poor, and everything. I'm going to tell you blacks something in these states. This is how Democrats think of us. This is how they've always thought of us. They gave us welfare so they can make us shut our mouths up. They gave us all this housing and projects so we can get somewhere and be good little girls and good little boys. And then they get over here and they take to the TVs and they try to fucking humiliate us to our face. And then you're going to have some blacks that are going to turn around and still allow this damn ignorant rhetoric to go forward and stuff. They're still going to have some delusional ass blacks that's going to have a reason to still promote and go and back these damn people up. You know what she said? She said it's time for the North to come to the South. You got some ignorant people in the North. What the fuck are you talking about? It is time for New York to go to Alabama. What is going on in New York right now and stuff?
That's the problem. New York take care of your own stuff. That's the problem. Take care of your own. Then help out, but don't let her cook.
They're being led by a motherfucking Mandani foreigner that's trying to turn New York upside down. What the fuck can they do coming into Alabama? Not a goddamn thing. You know, you all need to stay up there in Washington with y'all fake ass likings of citizens. Y'all let the motherfucking border open. Y'all let all these people come in. Y'all let all these folks take our resources. There are so many people getting cut off Social Security. There's so many fucking people getting cut off Medicare. There are so many people that can't afford child care. There are so many people that are homeless. There are so many people that can't afford groceries, can't afford gas. And y'all got the fucking nerve and the audacity to get on fucking television and tell these states to pull up places. Y'all motherfucking need to pull out. That's what y'all motherfucking do. Y'all need to pack y'all bags and go. Because we gonna show y'all motherfuckers just what we mean. And if y'all think that y'all gonna play on black people intelligence again, y'all think that y'all gonna misuse us, y'all think y'all gonna use us to tilt the scale, we got another thought for you motherfuckers. You're not gonna use us. Y'all plantation is burning down. Y'all plans are burning down. So now y'all finna travel y'all ass on taxpayers' dollars down here to mess with these states and all. These states need redistricting because at the bottom line, all these states there are black districts are poor. Their illiteracy rate, their education is poor. The housing situation is poor. The infrastructure is poor. Crimes is up a rampage and everything. So don't fucking tell me nothing about remapping and redoing anything by redistricting any, because districting should have no motherfucking color. No color.
No color.
And at this point, I don't even trust Democrats. I don't give a care what color it turned. Red, blue, purple, pink, or white. It doesn't fucking matter to me. Because there is nothing that you all have done to us but make us suffer. And then y'all want us to think that it was the Biden administration that saved us. No, the fuck they didn't. They started the disaster. Matter of fact, I take that back. Obama started the disaster.
He funded it.
And then now y'all want to come in and y'all want to mess with our states. And y'all want to come in here and want to do all this and want to make us think that we're too stupid to handle it. Well, bring y'all asses on. And we will show y'all. Georgia will show y'all. Mississippi will show y'all. Texas will show y'all. Alabama will show y'all. Just because we're in the South, that don't mean that we're slave mentality. Just because we're in the South don't mean we're slow. Just because we're in the South don't mean nothing. We still got educated people. We still got doctors. We got lawyers. We got athletes, professionals. We got celebrities. We got everything that y'all got in the North. We got everything that y'all got in New York. We got everything that y'all got. So come on with it. Come on with it. I'm an educated black woman and all that. I ain't nowhere near slow.
Grumpy, right.
So keep thinking that. Keep thinking that. I ain't on welfare. Keep thinking that.
Damn.
Y'all got us and all that. We need y'all help. We don't need a motherfucking thing from y'all, but to stay out.
Not a damn thing.
And that's nowhere. Because, baby, like I said, I ain't on your Democrats, your plantation. I don't have no slavery Democrat mentality, no fucking more. And just because I'm black don't mean I'm going to vote Democrat. Americans first, Americans first. Asshole.
Man. Me.
It's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's start with some tone-deaf celebrity virtue signaling from the Dumb and Delusional.
Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. I'm bringing you guys some heat with it, you know what I'm saying? We trying to play the same thing all the time, try to switch it up for you guys and make sure it's all related. Let's continue.
Here is actress Poppy Lou, who left communist China to come to capitalist America.
How you doing,
only
Dorothy?
to complain about capitalism.
My rant is that capitalism is the greatest evil in the world. But like the people that are like, oh, but like, don't you enjoy the nice things? Blah, 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 blah. Yes, I do. And also, I would be okay with it if it meant that more people in the world could live without oppression. Like, hello.
Yeah, she's not complaining about the oppression in China, the ethnic genocide of the Uyghurs, the gross human rights abuses in that country, including the jailing, torture, and killing of political dissidents. No, the millionaire actress is railing against capitalism. Let's now hear from one of the dimmest individuals to ever anchor a program on MSNBC, and that is a very low bar indeed, folks. Here is
Thank you, Jason, for Super Chat. Thank you.
It's clear these two have no idea how DEI actually works.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Got into Yale is because they were tired of just letting in white men from New York, from all the elite schools, and they wanted an Appalachian.
Thank you, Grumpy. 100, man. Thank you, guys. Blessings to everybody, man. Common Sense Channel here.
Florida. They wanted to just get out of the New York, D.C. matrix, Massachusetts matrix, and let somebody into Harvard and Yale who came from a different place. He came from Florida. Baby, that's also affirmative action and DEI.
And JD Vance has also been under attack from another wildly delusional individual, some awkward dude called Clavicular, who has convinced himself that he's super hot. This imbecile even uses a hammer to reshape his face, and he says he's voting for Gavin Newsom because Gavin's hot.
Next election cycle, who's going to win? It's going to be Gavin Newsom against JD Vance because JD Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom bugs.
JD Vance is subhuman?
Wait a minute. We asked about Joe Biden gas prices. They say the president don't control the gas, got nothing to do with the gas prices. And I can prove a video of Biden saying, no, he don't care about it. I'm gonna play it. Hold on.
What makes you say that? He's got a very short total facial width to height ratio. He's obese, very recessed side profile, whereas Newsom is like 6'3" Chad.
To Saturday Night Live, or it should be Saturday Night Lame, because it is as funny as a migraine these days. It's supposed to be a comedy show. And the reason why it's so unfunny is because they refuse to use the rich material the loony left provide daily. Instead, they're hyper-focused on bashing conservatives. 91% of their content is about bashing conservatives, and that means they need to come up with lies to set up jokes instead of using the real-world craziness of the modern left to give us so much content daily. Now, watch this sketch on Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and note that Epstein was a Democrat. You won't know this watching this sketch. Epstein wasn't just a Democrat. He was a Democrat donor, someone who hated Donald Trump and plotted to destroy him because Donald Trump cut all ties with him, banned him from Mar-a-Lago, and this was years before he was convicted of anything. Epstein and his offsider, Ghislaine Maxwell, cozied up to the Clintons, not the Trumps, but all of that doesn't matter when you're Saturday Night Live and determined to be tedious afflicted and painfully unfunny.
My dear close friend, that is a beautiful thing.
Told you, lame. So lacking in wit, so boring and false. As author Daniel Friedman noted on X, progressives like to talk about how Trump's name appears hundreds of times in the Epstein file.
How long is it fair to expect American drivers to go dates and around the world? Are you confident that that cap would bring down prices for American drivers? And how long is it fair to expect American drivers to continue to pay a premium because of this war?
Let me hear the second part of the question was, would it bring down the price?
Will it bring down prices? And the war has pushed prices up. They could go as high as $200 a barrel, some analysts think. How long is it fair to expect American drivers and drivers around the world to pay that premium for this war?
As long as it takes. So Russia cannot, in fact, defeat Ukraine and move beyond Ukraine. This is a critical position for the world. Here we are. Why do we have NATO? I told Putin that, in fact, if he were to move, we would move to strengthen NATO. We would move to strengthen NATO across the board. Look, let me explain the price. I suggested a while ago that what we should consider doing is putting a cap on the amount of money that we would pay for, the world would pay for Russian oil. And that we would not provide, the West provides insurance, would not insure Russian ships carrying oil. We would not provide insurance for them, so they would have great difficulty getting customers. The point is that we've said to them, here's the deal. We're going to allow you to have a profit on what you make, but not the exorbitant prices that you're charging for the oil now. We've delegated a commission, a group of our national security people to sit down and work out that mechanism. We think it can be done. And it would drive down the price of oil, and it would drive down the price of gasoline as well. In addition, at home, I have also called for changes. I've released
million barrels of oil per day from our oil reserve.
Damn.
In addition to getting other nations to move forward, a total of 240 million barrels of oil to release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Number one. Number two, I've asked Congress, would they in fact go and temporarily end the tax on gasoline at the pump? And thirdly, to ask the states to do the same thing. If we do these things, it's estimated we could bring down tomorrow, if Congress agreed and the states agreed, we could bring down the price of oil about $1 a gallon at the pump, in that range. And so we could have immediate relief in terms of the reduction of the elimination of temporary elimination of the gas tax. And so I think there's a lot of things we can do and we will do, but the bottom line is ultimately
The Walking Dead.
the reason why gas prices are up is because of Russia. Russia. The reason why the food crisis.
But this is because Epstein was an MSNBC watching boomer lib who was constantly complaining about Trump to anyone who would listen to him whine. There are no communications between Trump and Epstein in any of the emails. Now to New York City, where we hear from two Luigi Mangione fangirls. These are members of the press credentialed by Mayor Mamdani. They're openly endorsing murder, celebrating murder, mocking the children of the murdered victim, Brian Thompson. This is Ashley Rogers and Lena Wisbrot. Watching this, you know precisely who they voted for.
Brian Thompson's mom got laid on consent edition. I said what I said.
His children are better off without him. They need to learn how to be like their dad. And enjoy the blood money, kids.
Yes, callous, vicious, and yet convinced that they are your moral superiors. Let's bring in Sky News contributor Kosha Gator. Kosha, that is disturbing, but as we saw with the Charlie Kirk murder, the left's tolerance of violence, its celebration of violence, is a growing problem. It's not isolated to the extremes anymore.
It isn't. I think the Charlie Kirk thing really laid that bare. It was hundreds of thousands of people in terms of there was this period of 2 weeks afterwards where people were exposing TikTok celebrations and emails and Facebook posts, not just from anybody, from nurses, from teachers, from people that are supposed to be responsible and caring. And this, follows that. There have been many fans.
Instagram influencers in Australia. Yes,
absolutely. Around the world. And Luigi Mangione also has his sort of fan club or these groupies who like that. And here they don't even have the facts right because they take Brian Thompson as sort of an incarnation of all that is wrong with healthcare and the distorted costs of healthcare, which makes no sense at all because he was actually somebody who came from pretty humble beginnings and worked his way up the corporate ladder. He is not healthcare, but that's how they think about it. So it's even more foolish on top of that. But it is a real problem and you don't see any accountability coming from it. There's nothing legally that you can do because it's just speech, but firing people or somehow ostracizing them socially are things that should be done and we don't see it being done and therefore it's going to continue.
Well, the fact that those two had press credentials, I think, troubled a lot of people as well. I mean, how is Mayor Mamdani's office giving press credentials to those individuals who are there mocking the children of the murder victim? I mean, it's one thing to be there and fangirling a murderer, but to be mocking the victim's family, I think, is just crossing a line.
Yeah, it's a good point. And
oh my gosh, Zach with his maggots, man.
Press passes. So
good morning,
we will
Zach.
see if any accountability comes, but I'm not holding my breath.
Good morning,
now,
man.
Let's go to Louisiana, and we spoke yesterday about how every rhino pretty much in America is being primary to hell and back, and Bill Cassidy, maybe the biggest loser yet. CNN's Harry Enton looked into the archives and he didn't find anything like this since World War II.
How bad Bill Cassidy did. He got 25% of the vote, okay? I went back and I looked at every single non-appointed senator. This, in my mind, was the worst primary showing ever, at least since the end of World War II. That is how badly Bill Cassidy did. He did worse than every single one, getting 25% of the vote in a for a senator in a primary. It's literally unheard of, and that is because, of course, Donald.
Yeah, they be laptop and phone, social media tough. You right, Bud. In reality, they would not say it in our face at all. They tough behind the screen. In reality, soft as shit.
Trump endorsed against this guy. Look.
There's losing and there's losing. That dude is going to regret that impeachment vote, Kosha.
Mm-hmm. And Harry Enton is the best thing on CNN. And he looks in and puts.
I love the energy. The man is always up here.
Yes, takes data and makes it really interesting. Now we know this
65 to 96.
You know how this has happened, and this
That's
is
funny.
a really red state, Louisiana. He was the incumbent senator. That's what Harry Enton was getting at. That this should not happen. It would never happen. It's a safe
he came
seat.
third in a three-way race.
Right,
That's how badly it did.
No,
He had
Zach, you the one that's
challengers
soft,
because they
bro.
knew that he split from the base. I think
Zach, you literally a Democrat. You a Democrat that would go to you bloat vu, but go to a red state and vote blue as well. You in a conservative channel, a common sense channel, trying to tell us what to do. That make sense, Zach. You definitely a Democrat. That's crazy. You come on a conservative channel trying to tell us what to do.
every single person who voted to impeach Trump in those J6 trials is gone. Either some of them didn't even run again, they stepped out of the arena, or those who ran, Liz Cheney, chief among them, was handily defeated. He's one of the last.
I gotta do it to you, Zach.
It's certainly another feather in Trump's cap.
I gotta let you go,
because January 6th, specifically that issue, it was so clear to the Trump base about how distorted that was, and just the weight of the government and everything around not only him but his supporters, and any Republican that voted for that sort of sham hearing, as it's called, has paid the price.
Absolutely. It's one thing where they haven't forgotten, because during the election campaign, this was such a big issue for the base, the fact that there was going to have to be some sort of...
Oh, man, Zach is sucking softball to
a lot of that's kind of been forgotten.
That's a
We
good
really
one.
haven't had the indictments and the convictions and the people held responsible for some of the politicization of these agencies, for the whole...
Right, Jeffrey. You come to a conservative channel and trying to tell us what's going on.
The people who voted
Go to other channel, talk that trash.
followed through with that. Now let's go to DC, where Judge Jeanine Pirro, as she was known on Fox News, she's now the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, and she is laying down the law.
These are not harmless gatherings.
Right, Jason. It makes no sense. The same thing, you know what I'm saying, leaving New York to go to Florida. Make it make sense, and then vote blue still, and you want different results. It makes no
They're
sense.
disrupted. And you can see from what happened at Chipotle's this past weekend, it was not just violence occurring between individuals. It was simply destruction of property. It was a takeover of a restaurant by individuals who felt that they could get away with it. Well, they're not going to get away with it.
Kosha, she went on to say the city belongs to law-abiding citizens.
Right, man. The name calling after a while is like, okay, you know what I'm saying?
Zero
It's starting to fatigue.
tolerance to law and order.
She's
Name calling fatigue for real.
on that spectrum to Nayib Bukele that we always talk about. She's like, closer into that. And in DC in particular, two things happened. One is Trump appointed her to serve in this role. People forget she was a judge. She wasn't just a TV personality. She's tough as nails.
That's why they called her Judge Jeanine.
That's right. And then because a lot of people diminish that, like, he's got all these TV people in there. And then the other thing is putting the National Guard. That was very controversial at the time. You can federalize.
And then it's crazy. I'm showing the facts, you know what I'm saying? They still don't want to watch the facts. They want to just talk stupid.
Those two things have made a difference. Crime is down, homicides are down. But these things, what she's showing over there, they're calling it teen takeovers, which of course euphemizes it like some kind of Disney movie or something. But that's like complete vandalism. And she's saying that she's going to hold them accountable and their parents.
Yep, that's why you left yesterday, right?
You can apply to the parent if the crime was committed by someone else, but if they're under 18, presumably there's something in the law available to her, and that's another angle she's trying, and hopefully that makes a difference.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the way that they're trying to minimize the criminality here. Like, it's just some harmless TikTok phenomenon, just because it's being taped and shared online doesn't mean that people aren't being terrified, people aren't being hurt, and property isn't being vandalized. And we saw there, it was pretty lawless. Now, let's look at a Democrat and leftist activist Mark
Good
Cuban,
one, okay.
standing with the man that we Thought he loathed Donald Trump at the White House. This happened earlier today to promote cheaper prescription drugs. Kosha, tell me about the significance.
Right, I would say Fox News
policy.
Right, y'all talking about some be watching Fox News or Fox News talking points, but when it comes to my channel, I rarely even show Fox on here. I be showing CNN, Australia, other channels. That's crazy.
I did not think I would see these two standing together, being all friendly or trying to
at a gay bar.
They've known each other
Damn.
for 20 years. They're both billionaires. They're both TV personalities.
With a frog suit on.
Relationship, I think, is how Cuban described it. And there are people who really, really hate Trump, truly, and then there's people who I think it's a bit more performative. But then when the election is over, they can maybe work together, and maybe in credit to Mark, he is one of them. This policy, it's a step in the right direction for the fundamental problem of health.
We can agree or disagree, you know what I'm saying, conversation, but the name calling it,
huge,
it's not gonna get nowhere.
In household spending, 20% of GDP. So it's a step in the right direction.
Facts over
it doesn't
feelings.
solve the biggest problems. It leads to that distortion in the market. But what they're basically trying to do is improve transparency of pricing for generic drugs and trying to remove the opacity of the insurance layer. That is a big cause for why the pricing is very distorted in the US for drugs. You go through insurance. There's no transparency between the buyer and the seller. And these websites and Trump RX, which is a portal, and then it goes to websites like Mark Cuban's online pharmacy that he founded a couple years ago, and Amazon.
That means it's the 18th Street gang control. In Laredo, Texas, DHS and Border Patrol are now increasing manpower around that area.
So, cartel-linked criminals are once again clamoring for access at the U.S. border. And as we're learning through shocking raids in sanctuary cities, although the bad guys might not have the access.
This Cash Jordan, he lives in New York, but he posted this about an hour ago. Let's see what's going on.
To our country that they used to, they're still doing what they can to expand their illegal empires. At least they were until ICE and Border
Good one,
Patrol
Jason.
stopped.
Yeah, this is a very large-scale federal operation taking place at MacArthur Park. You can see some of the agents behind the fence.
I'm gonna say this too. I didn't vote for Biden, obviously, but when Biden was president, I wanted him to look strong for us as an American. You know what I'm saying? The man went over there and embarrassed us, pooping in his pants and shaking ghosts and all that. Like, again, I ain't vote for Biden, but as a president, I did want him to represent us and look strong and be strong.
They've been targeting several businesses at the park. But you know what I mean? No.
We are seeing this uptick in illegal crossings in the Laredo sector, and Border Patrol is responding in a big way. They're sending at least 200 agents from both the
Same thing with
northern and
Obama.
the southern borders to
Bowing and giving out money.
Shortly after that,
Crazy.
300 federal and local agents stormed the area. They cleared the park. They cut locks on storefronts, 6 businesses in total. 25 people are federally charged, including a female ringleader and her boyfriend associated with the 18th Street gang.
Yeah, they said Biden was sharpest attack.
And abetting criminal activities. We think the Sinaloa cartel's involved. Probably doesn't indent this cartel's activity, but over there's a sign on the wall that says 18. That means it's the 18th Street gang controls this.
You think that after today, after these search warrants and arrests have been made, that people in Los Angeles will notice a difference
Right.
at this
Made it
park
look
where they
bad,
have
man.
seen, as you look around,
You know what I'm saying,
a number
man?
of homeless.
That's not supposed to go.
If it continues, one off is what the cartels expect. They think it's a one and done. You go back to business as usual, and they go back to business as usual.
Make no mistake about it, criminals sneaking into America aren't doing it to live here legally. And what nobody's talking about is after the border successes of 2025, the wrong people, they hunkered down in sanctuary cities, waiting for the right moment to come back. And what better place to do it than the sanctuary state of California, which allows and protects the lawless at the expense of the law-abiding, which is why public parks are now total danger zones and why criminals still try and sneak through the most secure border in U.S. history. And predictably, these new crossings are happening where these criminals think they've found a weak point in the border near a few waterways in
Yep,
Texas.
that's what's going on, man.
Thugs, once they get inside,
Obama had a third term
to stay in
under
Texas.
Biden.
No, that's
The
not where
puppet
they're
master.
allowed access to government benefits while being protected by a lawless justice system that thinks its real enemy is the President of the United States, revealing that sanctuary cities and states are a scourge upon our country that should not be allowed to exist. Yet they do because the politicians and radicals running these places see the enemy of their enemy as their friend. But that brings us to the real reason these gang busts and border crossings are happening at the exact same time. You've got these sanctuary leaders that are desperate to hang on to their power, and they've been trying to do that this entire time by enabling the wrong people, harboring and enabling criminals, because if the president, who everyone thinks is the enemy, says these guys are criminals, well, they must be innocent. At the same time, every illegal fugitive on America's streets gives real criminals who brought them in here another reason to try again, while signaling to lawless leaders and radical voters that another victory in the march against a president they
The auto pen.
taking place. But the reality is
Yep.
it puts our entire country at risk, because once fugitives hunker down in a sanctuary, crime they commit there doesn't stay there, unfortunately. This video was just taken last month. Look at this. We got all these folks jumping out of a pickup truck. This is crazy. You two get on the ground. Hey, you get all the ground. All the way down. This is wild. Wow. Look at that. And this is still going on. Oh, you hear that? Helicopters overhead. The border's a lot different than it used to be. But these criminal organizations, they're still trying to find a way in. This is still
Right.
their
Sleepy
agenda,
Joe.
even though they're getting busted. But you got to ask yourself, why are people willing to risk this? They know that if they get caught, they're going to be instantly sent back and deported, which means the reason this is happening is because folks really want to get inside of America without getting caught, and they want to sneak past all of the security here and disappear somewhere in the interior of the country. The only people sneaking across now are people who do not want to be found. They want to evade at all costs, and if you want proof that this is all cartel connected, watch this.
14 ID? No. 1980? No.
Wow.
That's the only one?
¿De dónde viene la
Okay.
¿Dónde
But they do have something else.
Yo soy de Honduras.
¿De
Honduras.
Honduras? Ok. ¿Te puedes subir la manga? Le voy a
Watch
decir.
this.
¿Qué es esa pulsera que
Just
tienes?
asking them. There it is, right there. Wristbands. Why do they have wristbands? I'll tell you
Coyotes.
why those wristbands prove that the individuals on the screen here pass through multiple different areas controlled by criminal organizations on the other side of the border. These individuals, are they cartel leaders, operatives, kingpins? That we don't know, but at a minimum, we know that they are connected to multiple areas of the criminal underworld. And what are they going to do when they get inside of America? Well, if they're not helping to expand the footprint of these guys inside of our country for purposes that are not allowed, at a minimum, they'll be paying back these smuggling fees that they've had to pay to get through the most secure border in history, which is going to be 5 figures. But if we've got the most secure border in U.S. history, how is it that criminals are finding a way through it now? What's being done about it? And is this some sort
He
of
said he was smart. Good one.
Exactly right, Nick. And
What
we
up,
are seeing
Brian?
this uptick in illegal crossings in the Laredo sector.
Yep,
Border
good
Patrol
morning,
is
Brian.
Responding in a big way. They're sending at least 200 agents from both the northern and the southern borders to the sector on a 30-day deployment. Now, our sources tell us that it's a lack of manpower and a substantial increase in that illegal activity, that foot traffic on the ground. The surge is showing up on the ground and in the data. We're talking about 2,600 encounters logged for March and April. That's up more than 50% from the previous 2 months, for some perspective there. We just got a statement from CBP saying, quote, CBP sent additional personnel to Laredo to continue to secure our border. The sector is bordered entirely by river with no natural barriers to slow illegal crossings, which makes it a target when smuggling routes shift and evolve.
So what we've got here is we've got criminal organizations on one side of the border, and they're always looking for an opening, and they may have temporarily found one, which has now been completely shut down. Their criminal pipeline into our country has been blocked. And at the same time, these numbers that we just saw, this is nothing compared to what the border was doing before Trump came in, that's for sure. But you've got to understand it's expensive to keep a massive number of Marines at the border on a regular basis, especially if they could be more useful somewhere else, which explains why the security apparatus evolves and changes over time. For example, anyone doing border reinforcement in one area may not be there forever. Their tanks and battalions may be deployed to other
Mingo, welcome to the chat. How you doing?
Going on. But while this criminal
The
pipeline
unknown.
has
Hello,
just
hello.
been blocked, the thing you've got to remember is the huge attractions
How you guys doing? Good morning.
inside America have to criminals who aren't here yet. But there's another problem.
Thanks to record low crossings, we have the manpower and flexibility to move agents quickly, concentrate resources, and take enforcement action where it matters most. Now, this sector is inevitably dealing with gotaways, as you just can't walk in anymore, and sources are telling us that across the border,
That's who these criminals want to be. They want to be people that sneak in and disappear into America. That's what gotaways are. These are people that law enforcement sees them.
What up, Antonio? What up? What up?
Have come into the country without permission and they vanish. They are not apprehended. They disappear. That's a big problem. These are folks that have an agenda. Why would your agenda be that you're going to come into a country and just automatically disappear and go into a criminal underworld? Well, you're part of one already, or you're headed to one and your goal is to link up with it somehow. That's why we've got these criminal organizations and sanctuaries. That's why we've got these gangs that are all over the place, these cartel-linked organizations, not to mention people who sneak into the country and disappear. They're not always teaming up with, like, let's say a cartel. They can be part of some other foreign adversarial group, perhaps a foreign military, perhaps they could be spies, perhaps they could be agents of Iran. We heard speculation that that was going on and that there were people inside America creating the opportunity for that regime to potentially try something at home, which hasn't happened. The president's been very clear. We know about these groups. We're watching them. But all of this is enabled by the ability of these criminals to find a friendly place inside America.
Border Patrol is averaging around 48 gotaways each and every day. Those are people who have been seen on a camera or detected, but never actually caught. The previous Border Patrol chief saying bad actors exploit the holes in the border and could have nefarious intentions. Take a listen.
That's wild.
For any of us that have done this for a living, one is too many. We don't want to see any gotaways because
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
To cause harm to somebody in our communities or to our country.
Right, and what a great time for politicals to defund Homeland Security.
Deport.
We
Yes,
know
yes.
48 people a day are seen on
Come the
cameras
right way.
and are venturing into the country somehow and then never being.
I heard there's a guy, he lived in America for 30 years, became very successful as a restaurant owner. He had 2 restaurants. Once again, in America for 30 years. He had plenty of time to assimilate and get his paperwork done. I think he had kids as well. And guess what he did? He didn't get his paperwork done, and he got deported. And the lefties complained, like, he should stay. He's been here for 30 years. He's a millionaire. Let him stay. No, he didn't do it the right way. He came bogus as hell. You know, if he came here the right way and stayed the right way, no problem. But he came here bogus, and he didn't even take care of his papers. So send his ass back. And what I'm saying is, people come to America, they become rich. So how is America so bad? People can leave other countries and come to America and become multi-millionaires or own businesses and all that. America is great.
Spotted again. We've always got an eternal mission at the border of this country. We can secure it. We can build fencing. We can build military bases along it. But there will always be people trying
Antonio,
to
that's Obama with the cages. Do your research, man. Just Google Obama in the cages, and you will see the pictures of the kids and Obama.
And the worst part about it is these sanctuary cities, these New Yorks, these Chicagos, these Californias, the whole state's a sanctuary. These are places where criminals know they're going to be protected. If they get arrested in a place like that versus a place like Texas, where Texas public safety's out there working with ICE and Border Patrol, there's no cooperation. They're going to get released from whatever sanctuary jail they wind up in, which is usually backed up by a legal system.
For 30 years, and he had 2 businesses, 2 restaurants. He had a way.
Places are home bases for the wrong individuals
in our communities or to our country. Lots of concern with not knowing who comes into our country and who they are, what they're bringing, what their purpose is. The gotaways have always been a concern, the primary concern, I would say, for not just the Border Patrol, but DHS writ large.
Yeah, that's why we got to fund them. Stop trying to shut them down.
Agents are finding them. The illegal immigrants are being hidden in shocking ways. And then you had 17 illegal immigrants found hiding in a stash house waiting for their next move. Now,
that's wild. So these criminal networks, these were all established when border security didn't exist. You had people setting up these stash houses. You had routes, smuggling routes through the entire country, ways where criminals knew they could drive to various places where they could stop, take a break, pick people up, drop them off. A lot of this stuff's still out there. It's just lying dormant. It hasn't been activated, but once criminals figure out that there's a new opportunity to get into the country, all these areas light up. Their crime machine turns back on. At the same time, the folks coming in who surrender peacefully and get sent back, these are not the people that we need to be worried about. It's the folks that run away and scuffle with law enforcement and do their best to disappear and never be seen again until they reemerge at the sight of a bus led by heavily armed troops in a sanctuary somewhere. But now the question is, what are we doing about this? Because we heard so much about border security last year, and then it's like that topic kind of died down, and now we're seeing this. We've got criminals back in their old stash houses, up to their old tricks. What's going on?
Confirm that this detail does include members of their special operations teams, which includes BORTAC.
Special ops.
Now, I did just hear from a source, Nick, who tells me that today things are almost eerily quiet. He says the manpower surge and the media coverage might be making an impact here, and he says he hopes it stays quiet like this in Laredo right now, Nick.
Allie, two quick questions for you because this is your wheelhouse. I heard you say 48 gotaways on average in the month of April. Allie, that's down significantly from when you were reporting on the border under the previous administration, where there were like hundreds at some point there. And the administration right now, Allie, is also fast-tracking the wall construction. What's the situation?
Oh, so we're building more.
Yeah, so under the previous administration, they logged about 2 million gotaways during that 4 years. So yeah, substantial decline in gotaways. But as you heard Chief Jason Owens say there, one is too many. So they're trying to tamp down on the gotaways because they're looking at about 10,000 for the year. So that's still a substantial number of people. That
And Tony, we saying that Obama started it first.
This report goes on to discuss how they are fortifying these sections of the border wall where people are just sneaking through. There is not going to be any area of this country's border eventually where people can look and wait for law enforcement to vanish or to be drawn.
Here we go.
The Border Patrol allowed... For about 2 weeks, the Border Patrol has refused to allow reporters and cameras into facilities where agents...
Look at the year, Antonio. Look at the year.
But today, we finally got a look. The Border Patrol allowed only one video camera into holding centers in Nogales and in McAllen, Texas. It comes out as Border Patrol faces claims of bad conditions for the children. Not in your sides, Craig Smith was able to take his own tour of the Nogales complex, and he joins us live from Nogales.
I got him, bud. It's right here for him, bud. Look at the year.
Guy, a large group of reporters was allowed to come into this facility in Nogales, but under strict ground rules as a condition for entry. No cameras, at least no cameras we control directly, no sound recordings of any sort, and no questions. What we saw does track what we saw in pictures taken in secret days before.
Damn.
Chain link holding areas.
Wait a minute.
Foil blankets. But now we have context and explanation. Agents say the foil blankets, for instance, reduce the chance of allergic reactions. They say the facility was not set up hastily to cope with a glut of immigrant children. They say it is a facility built about the year 2000 for adult detainees, converted when the need arose to house hundreds of children. There are systems set up for showers and clean clothes every 24 hours, health checks, healthful meals, and opportunities for play. The El Salvador government sent a senior official to check on the children from that country.
Naturally, as a government
Disaster. I got you.
that the minors are being treated this way. We're not accusing the government of the United States that they're not trying their best efforts, but more can be done.
No one suggested it's a great situation, but why did Border Patrol wait so long to offer a look to refute claims of abuse? Border Patrol did not answer that question during the tour, so we asked Agent Art Del Cuerto.
Antonio, don't worry about Trump right now.
You know what I think? I think a lot of it.
Stay focused on this video.
Unfortunately, I see it all
Look
the
at the
time
year.
as a union representative. You always get the bad news out first, right?
Who started it first?
They weren't calling the shots. They were coming from D.C. It's up to D.C. That's something that you guys are seriously going to have to ask, people up in D.C. Now, that union rep says
agents carry elsewhere. Say, hey, look, now's our chance. Let's try and sneak in. That's all going away. But what about the people who say, oh, border security doesn't work, all these walls doesn't mean anything? Well, we've got some proof that they do work, and wait till you see who we're getting it from.
¿Tiene alguna incidencia donde hay alguna persona vulnerable donde requiere o que quiere cruzar de forma ilegal?
A wall separates them, and yet they work side by side.
Listo. Okay. Gracias.
And in Spanish. In the border city of Mexicali, local Mexican police and the U.S. Border Control are in close contact, regularly carrying out coordinated operations to deter would-be border crossers.
The wall looks impossible to scale, but some still try. It's rare, though. Before, when the wall was lower, anyone could see them. You just had to drive along the border road, and you could see migrants climbing over it.
So when the wall wasn't as high or as formidable or as reinforced, people were scaling it. Go figure. But now we know it works. We're hearing from Mexican police that it works. And you know something? This idea of border security, it's not just good for America. There are countries like Mexico that suffer greatly at the hands of empowered criminal organizations. These walls shut them down inside America and outside of it. Their lifeline is the $13 billion a year they were making when the border was wide open. This was a major source of revenue that pumped up these criminals who are now on the ropes as the United States takes up operations like this Shield of the Americas plan to root out criminal activity all throughout our hemisphere. These are good things that will bring law and order back to places that have lacked it because of an American lack of leadership.
Another major change has occurred at the border. This one clearly driven by Donald Trump. Migrant crossings have plummeted. Tijuana, at the western end of the US-Mexico border. When we visited this shelter back in 2022, migrants from around the world were waiting for their chance to cross into the United States. Now it's almost empty.
Our shelter used to house 180, 200, sometimes even 300 people, depending on the situation at the time. But today we only have 17 migrants. It's been very hard to tell them that it's over, that they can no longer go to the United States or access aid programs.
Oh, interesting. But when you see these images of these packed shelters on the Mexican side of the border, you've got to understand that the individuals who got there traveled through the territory of criminals, just like the folks with the wristbands. They had to pay to get here. And while this was very much a humanitarian crisis, it was one that benefited the very criminals causing it. And we can see that when the border was wide open, Mexico was essentially a pass-through destination for some of the people that are getting arrested in strongholds like Los Angeles right now. People who either paid cartels to come into the country or are part of one. And as you're about to see, now that leadership is back and that there are border walls and there's border security and these criminals are getting taken down, other areas of the border are starting to rise up.
But on a Saturday night in Mexicali, it's a different picture. In this border city shaped by generations of Chinese migrants, residents from neighboring Calexico on the Californian side cross back and forth with ease.
I was born and raised in California, but I've got family here, so I come over often.
Pretty much everything. We come here for our medical appointments.
There's more choice when it comes to food and going out.
Look at how safe this area is. It's an area of Mexico. It's by the border. And you know what you don't see? You don't see criminal activity destroying this place. You see legal businesses. You see people that feel safe. They want to come out. You want to enjoy the night on the town. You've got cross-border economic activity going on here. That's fine. Because what you don't have is cross-border criminal activity taking place here. That's a big problem. That's not the kind of cross-border activity we want. And the worst thing for areas like this is if they're totally taken over by the wrong people who will destroy all of this legitimate activity because you can't have legitimate businesses, you can't have legitimate entrepreneurs, you can't have average law-abiding people doing what's best for themselves and their families. Oh no, you can't do that if criminals are everywhere. And you know something? This crackdown on crime inside the United States and in Mexico, this is going to have major effects on these countries. This is going to help the law-abiding everywhere. People who for years haven't been able to get ahead because the criminals are the ones that are ahead. And these local governments have been powerless to do anything about it because these criminals were getting so rich. off the United States, allowing them to just enter our country and do all the stuff that they're still trying to do in places like California. What do you think about that? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
He said he released him to what the what the
Written. Today, the final polls are in for Kentucky's 4th congressional district, and they show something that was virtually unthinkable just a few months ago. The 7-term Congressman Thomas Massey, a self-styled libertarian constitutionalist rebel, is losing. Not barely losing, not squeaking by, losing. And if you've been watching this channel, you know this has been a long time coming. Stick them to the very end of this video, because we're going to break down exactly what the numbers say, exactly why this matters, and exactly why the people of Kentucky are about to send a message to every rhino and, yes, every so-called constitutionalist that gets in the way of MAGA, double-cross President Trump at your own peril. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patriot professor, enjoying yet another glorious day.
Americans that record high gas prices are all Vladimir Putin's fault.
You may have noticed this week that your gas prices have gone up. I want to talk to you a little bit about why.
Hold on. Let me.
Welcome back. The White House working overtime to convince Americans that record high gas prices are all Vladimir Putin's fault.
You may have noticed this week that your gas prices have gone up. I want to talk to you a little bit about why. A lot of it has to do with Vladimir Putin.
Damn.
This is on the oil companies. Right now, there are 9,000
Circle back, Saki. Circle back.
Oil and gas companies could tap into now to ramp up production.
What do you make of that, Greg?
That was interesting. You know, there's a lot of price increases. There are hotels going up 30%, furniture 17%, chicken 13%, dry cleaning, baby food 8%. I don't think any of that has to do with Putin's war. So this inflation was going on well before they've been making up this crap. And we know about the permits. Nobody wants to go into the weeds on that, but we know that a lot of that stuff isn't usable and blah, 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 blah. The problem with having a Democrat in charge in this kind of ordeal is if the consequences match their desires, they will not mitigate the consequences. We see that now. Isn't it weird that the White House dismisses higher oil prices? It's because they wanted higher oil prices well before this war started and Putin invaded the Ukraine. This is why they don't care about it, because they want us to pay more. They want us to feel pain at the pump. So we reduce our oil usage or gas usage, and then we go to cars with windmills in their back seats. We were also reminded that Joe Biden is an inside weather vane. Whoever's in the room with him, he will simply do what they want. He's an empty vessel, and right now, a room full of eco freaks and far-left anti-West academics are making him do whatever they want.
If you could play the control room, call for number one. This is right before the State of the Union. We talked about how some Biden administration accomplishments are now vulnerabilities. Here's what he said on fossil fuels in the past.
I want you to look in my eyes. I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel. One of which is doing away with any subsidies for fossil fuels, number one. Number two, holding them liable for what they have done. We will double offshore wind. We will end any subsidies for coal or any other fossil fuel.
And now they're like, oh, but there's all these leases. You could just go ahead and do whatever you want.
Yeah, we're going to end you, but you better drill before we end you. This is crazy. If you're going to blame Putin, fine. Let's just say, blame Putin all you want. What are you going to do about it? They're still not doing anything about it. They're just finger pointing. Ronald Reagan, one of the ways he brought down the Soviet Union, he told Gorbachev, he said, Bud, we're going to pump our own oil. And he got the Saudis to pump oil. And that almost bankrupted the Soviet Union. And he sold the Saudis a ton of weapons and made the Saudis happy. What are we doing now? We cut arms sales to the Saudis, and we're pissing them off because we're trying to redo the Iran deal. It's ass backwards. God, I sound like Greg. What is going over? He negotiates with the Taliban, but he won't talk to big oil. Think about that. They asked him today, why won't you even have any of these oil executives over to the White House for some tea, for some croissants? Talk about how you guys are going to make prices better
for
people. And she goes, oh, well, We don't have anything on the schedule for that. Well, you should, because you guys have to work together with these people. Oil is like food. You need it to live. You can't survive. America cannot survive without oil, inexpensive oil. So they need to get their act together. And I'm sick of him telling people to drive electric. He doesn't drive electric. He drives these muscle cars that get terrible miles to the gallon. Psaki doesn't drive an EV. Does Mayor Pete drive an EV? None of them do. It's like a mask. Remember the masks? You guys all have to wear masks. But then you see him out and about with no mask on, partying and eating at the French Laundry. That's the same concept.
And it's been going on for years. Remember Al Gore did that, Judge, right? He was this like, everybody should turn off all the lights in their house, and turns out his electricity bill was higher than everybody else's.
Right,
Damn.
right. You know, the whole thing, the whole idea is they want to bring Iran back to the table. They want that Obama-Iran nuclear deal. And instead of dealing with the Saudis, who we should be dealing with, we're dealing now with Iran. And we're dealing with Iran with Russia at the table. And I thought that we were sanctioning Russia, but now we need them at the table with Iran. To me, this is like if you need a babysitter, right? And you have a 15-year-old daughter who can babysit, but you say, no, I don't want my daughter to babysit. I'm going to go next door. But next door is a convicted murderer. And the guy's threatening to kill you too. But I'll see if he's got a babysitter.
Antonio, what are you watching, man? Joe Biden himself, it was Putin's fault why the prices, gas prices is high. We didn't say it. Biden said it. The person you voted for said it. Amazing.
Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November.
It ain't about Fox News. It was your president said.
As we continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, if you sense that something is deeply wrong with the culture, that's because, well, you're awake. You deserve a daily briefing that treats you that way. Patriot Alerts is my free newsletter that connects the dots between everything happening in our world, and it shows you the pattern of civilizational renewal that the media will never report. It takes just 2 minutes a day, and it will change how you see everything. Scan the QR code now and join my Patriot Alerts for absolutely free. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Today's the day. It's primary day in Kentucky's
Good one on that one.
district. And this is the moment that millions of MAGA voters across the country have been waiting for. Because today, Thomas Massie, who's arguably done more to sabotage the America First agenda from inside the Republican Party than almost any Democrat has done from outside it, faces a reckoning delivered by the voters, a reckoning delivered by the very people who believe that Thomas Massie has repeatedly, brazenly, and arrogantly abandoned them. And the final polls, they say he's going down. Let's start with the raw numbers because they're pretty brutal. The final Gray House poll conducted May 16th through 17th, just 2 days ago, shows Trump-backed Navy SEAL veteran Ed Gallrein leading Massie 51-44 with 5% undecided. It's a 7-point advantage for Gallrein.
Gas prices went.
And as soon as that's life, that's dealing with world the world we live in.
You were critical when gas was $3.07.
Let me do it again for you, guys. Hold on.
That's life. That's dealing with world and the world we live in.
You were critical when gas was $3.07 when President Biden was in office. If you thought that was bad, what is $4.53?
Well, we all want gas prices to go down, Caitlin, but we also are concerned about Iran and this regime that's done so much evil and harm around the world to Americans, to Israelis, to other people, to their own people, for goodness sakes, for 47 years. You can't have that regime getting a nuclear weapon. The president's been clear
about
that.
Frog?
Secretary of State
Welcome to the chat.
About that. So the president is concerned about the long-term safety of this great country and the citizens who live here. When Biden was driving up the gas prices, it was because of stupid regulation and taxes and everything else and spending.
It sounds like you're saying gas prices went up under Biden, and I criticized it then because I didn't like why they were going up. I mean, they're going up a lot under this president that you supported, but you're just saying it's for the right reason in your view.
Yeah, and it's for a reason that he told the American people he was going to do. One thing I know about this president, unlike so many other people in elective office, when this president says something, he does what he said. He said he would cut taxes, he did. He said he would secure the border, he did. He said he would make sure Iran didn't get a nuclear weapon, and he's going about doing that.
And thank goodness he's got the courage and the toughness and the willingness to do what he said when most of the other presidents, all the other presidents for 47 years wouldn't do it, but this guy will.
What about his promise in 2024 that if he was reelected, gas would be under $2 a gallon because of his policies?
Well, gas prices were coming down until we had to deal with this situation. But, you know, that's life. That's dealing with world and the world we live in. That's life. That's dealing with
going into election day. But it gets even worse when you dig into the crosstabs. The numbers absolutely demolish any illusion Massey might have that his so-called independent brand can save him. Self-identified MAGA voters make up a whopping 60% of the primary electorate in Kentucky's fourth.
Chet Willerton, glad you're in the chat. Why are you worried about the ellipse for? Are you worried about the conversation? You worried about the ellipse?
The latest
What
social
type of shit is that?
strategies poll
You worried about the
showing a
ellipse.
similar picture. It has Gallrein at 49 and Massey at
What is going
42.
on?
And that's not all. Qantas Insights, one of the more accurate pollsters in 2024, has the race with Gallrein at 53%, Massey at 45%. So we're seeing a pretty consistent 7 to 8 point spread there. Now, keep in mind, just a couple of weeks ago, Qantas Insights had the race tied. So there's been a clear breakaway for Gallrein over the last several days. Qantas Insights has found that the remaining undecided voters, they've been breaking for Gallrein by more than 2 or 2 to 1. That means the late momentum, the undecided.
MAGA is about American first. So I don't see how MAGA is going to die when MAGA is dead. Period. I'm an American first policy. So that's what I believe in. That's what I voted for. Not because no doggone red hat.
The new voters entering the race, they're all breaking away from Massey. That's the signature of a campaign in decline, in free fall. And the betting markets notice this too. As of this morning, Polymarket has Gallrein at 62% chance of winning to Massey's 37%.
You said I'm out of America. Look at my skin. Hey, get this guy up out of here, man. You can go ahead and go, man.
As recently as
You stupid as hell.
Saturday evening,
Talking about I'm out of America. Look at my skin. Get off this chat, man.
Louisiana, Bill Cassidy coming in third in his primaries. That completely shifted.
Tell me I'm out of America. Get off this chat,
24
man.
hours of Bill
All right, you can go
Cassidy
too.
making history, being the first incumbent
Get these guys up out of here.
Republican senatorial candidate coming in third in his primary. The smart money in Kentucky flipped from Massey to Gallrein. People obviously are reading the room here. Now, keep in mind, Massey, as I understand it, has always been a relatively controversial figure within Kentucky's 4th Congressional District. He rarely won his past primaries by more than 70% of the vote, which means that he is a contested figure. He never had unanimous support among Kentucky Republicans. And as it turns out, it's for good reason. Massey has repeatedly voted against key features of the MAGA agenda. He voted against the One Big Beautiful Bill. That's Trump's signature domestic legislation. The entire MAGA economic agenda, tax cuts, border security, energy dominance, all of it in one big package. And Massey was one of only 2 Republicans in the entire House of Representatives out of 220 Republican members to vote no. Had that legislation lost in the House, that would have been politically devastating for Trump and the MAGA movement. So Massey can repeat, put the Constitution, till he's blue in the face. His constitutional fundamentalism almost cost Trump and the MAGA movement everything. And to add insult to injury, he voted against the One Big Beautiful Bill twice, in both its House version and the final Senate version. He voted against the government funding continuing resolution in March 2025, becoming the sole Republican to cross Trump on that vote, which nearly threatened a government shutdown. He voted with AOC in that. He actually voted against the SAVE Act. Trump's voter ID proof of citizenship bill back in February, again, breaking with his party. In each case, Massey cited this radical, fundamentalist, libertarian constitutional objections which just so happened to translate into fundraising letters to the broader national libertarian movement that has very little to do with Kentucky's 4th Congressional District. But Massey's obstructionism goes way beyond his fringe ideology. There's something more that made him public enemy number one for President Trump, and that is what may ultimately sink him as of today. What you're seeing right now isn't just another economic cycle. It's a fundamental shift. It's about whether you actually respond to it. Nothing has provoked Trump's ire more than Massey's incessant obsession with the Epstein files. Massey spent months pushing to release the Jeffrey Epstein files, making common cause with the most extreme conspiratorial fringes on the internet, particularly far left fringes, in an effort to throw the Republican caucus into chaos at the most critical moment of Trump's second term. And again, regardless of what you think about Epstein, that's the key to why President Trump and so many MAGA faithful are so upset with Massey. He deliberately used the Epstein files with the Democrats to politically damage President Trump. That's the key. How on earth can you vote for Trump and the MAGA movement and then turn around and support a guy who's done more political damage to Trump than any Democrat?
Damn.
It's not the files themselves. It's the way Massey exploited the files side by side with radical leftist woke Democrats to deliberately try to hurt President Trump. Case in point, look who's championing Tom Massey as of today. It's both the New York Times and the ultra-radical Democrat Ro Khanna. They love it because he magnifies their TDS. He magnifies their assaults on Trump and the MAGA movement. Again, for me, this is the key to making sense of all of this. You can harp all you want on Massey's supposed loyalty to constitutional principles. He appears to be the inheritor of Ron Paul's mantle. I mean, you could say that that's what sets him apart, his constitutional fidelity. But strategically, not ideologically, strategically, he ends up being no different than the Democrats. And you have to be willing, I think, to admit that if you're a supporter of Massey. Ideologically, he may be set apart for his constitutional fidelity, but strategically, he aligns with the very party that wants to destroy the Constitution. He is at one with the very party that wants to destroy the Constitution he supposedly reveres. And that, to me, is what Tom Massey supporters, the ones I've talked to, are just blind to. Apparently so. Again, appeal all you want to his supposed constitutional fidelity. Strategically, he's no different than the party that wants to destroy the Constitution and thus undermines that fidelity every step of the way. In the end, Tom Massey's so-called principled independence is too often in service of just bizarre and fringe and
Right, Frog. Everybody that's lefty or Dummycrat, when it comes to conservative chat, that's MAGA and talking about some damn Epstein files. When the Epstein files been around for a long time, they try to kill Trump, bankrupt the man, put the man in jail. Don't wait till the man get elected a second time. They talk about the damn Epstein files. Check y'all hard drives, man. For real. Y'all also accept this damn Epstein files. Pay for the victims.
Dubious causes
that
are ultimately self-defeating. For example, he recently defended his record by saying this.
So, Congressman, in the last 2
The man
weeks,
won already.
he did AOC talking points in Venezuela.
Trump won already. He's the president. So stop bringing the Epstein files.
And Jasmine Crockett has retweeted you. When will you change your party affiliation to Democrats?
It's really the Clinton files.
I thought you did. I vote with Republicans 91% of the time. And the 9% I don't, they're taken up for pedophiles, starting another war, or
bankrupting our country. Now, to me, what's so fascinating there is that Tom Massey loyalists, those who support him, thought that was a great response. I saw that all over the internet yesterday. I voted with the Republicans 91% of the time, and the 9% that I don't, they're protecting pedophiles, starting another war, bankrupting our country. And Tom Massey supporters thought that was a burn. That was a great response. Let me help you here. Sorry. Let me try. Because I'm willing to. I know people, I respect so many people who love Tom Massey. But what they don't seem to see is that his strategy undermines his ideology. They don't see that contradiction. And again, notice you see it surface in that response. So let me get this straight, Representative Massey. So you say you just told us you vote 91% of the time for a party that protects pedophiles. That's what you just said, isn't it? That is the entailment of what you just said. You vote 91% of the time for a party that protects pedophiles and wants to bankrupt the country. You're cool with them unless
312,
hanging out with them.
226.
Unless they get into the whole pedophile thing. You see, in a single sentence, this is the absurdity of a Tom Massey politics. It's so ideologically myopic that it becomes strategically incoherent. And thus it serves only as a force for obstruction. Despite being in Congress for 14 years, Massey has had 0 standalone bills passed into law. 0. He's a messaging specialist. He majors in messaging. And for libertarians, apparently that's good enough. But when it comes to fundamentally transforming our nation into a permanent MAGA populist majority, he has been as obstructionist as the very Democrat sycophants who are so enthusiastically endorsing him today. This is why President Trump wants this guy gone. And given the polls, along with Trump's 97% endorsement success rate, it looks like President Trump is about to get his wish. Gang, if you love what we're building here, now's the time to show it. Scan the QR code and visit the Turley Talks merch store for gear made for courageous patriots who stand for faith, family, and freedom.
So sit down. So you guys are racist? Or you just don't want to prove it? Wait, I'm trying to see something. I'm trying to say something. Yeah. Prove that you guys are not racist and let us two sit down. All right, come on. Let's do it. Prove it. Prove you're not racist. That's one. That's one. That's one. One more. Oh my God, you guys are going viral. They're gonna say you're so good. Look at what are your names? Say your names. Say it. This is good. Good job, guys. You did good. Appreciate it. Allies.
Please let me know in the comments right now if you would have passed this test. In my opinion, I believe that this was a humiliation ritual, something that the Democrats put white people through all the time. We saw when Jasmine Crockett was in office as a congresswoman that she used to throw shots all the time at white people and always lift up the blacks and only the blacks. Well, guess what? This has turned to bite us in the ass. And y'all aren't even holding her accountable. Y'all keep on pushing this stuff. And y'all keep on pushing this Justin Pearson guy to fake it to make it as well. And this is running y'all in the wrong direction. This is what the Democrats stand for. They do not stand for a damn thing. They're fed BS. And then when they're tested like this right here, 2 grown black men who are not disabled, or anything. They're not older than these ladies or nothing. But you stand up and give them your seat just to prove that you aren't racist. That's the dumbest sugar honey iced tea in the world.
The dumbest.
The nose prevail, House Bill. No, sir. No, sir.
Go get a haircut.
Come on, Justin. Okay. We love you.
Andrew Farmer wasn't thinking about your ass, man. Andrew was just sitting there chilling while your fingers is, I told you, boy. I told you, boy. Boy, don't say nothing about my family, boy. I think it's important that I bring this up. I tell you all the time, it's God and family first. That's what this channel is all about, and that's what my ministry is about. But listen, part of putting your family first is making sure that your people aren't being ripped off on Medicare. And I'm not even going to lie. A lot of people are on the wrong plans and don't even know it. That's why I'm working with Chapter. Chapter is the only Medicare advisor that compares every plan nationwide, every single one. And here's what I love. Their advisors are salaried. They don't get paid to push one plan over the other. They look at your doctors, your prescriptions, your priorities, and they tell you straight up if there's something better. Everyone's situation is different. But seniors who found better fitting plans with Chapter are saving on average $1,100 per year. And if you're already on the right plan, they'll tell you that too. They're not trying to take advantage of you. So there's absolutely no pressure. Taking care of your people, that's ministry. Call Chapter for free today at 843-949-4383. That's 843-949-4383. And speak to someone, a real person, for free. It only takes like 20 minutes. That's all. Do it for your family. It's not going to go left. You don't want no fight to break up. This brother wasn't expecting for no fight to go on. This is why he did it. This is why he did it to him. He jumped up to yell in his face because he knew that nothing could happen in these chambers, bro. Nothing can happen in these chambers unless you're ready to lose your job and you're not, because you're trying to build a name for yourself. And this dude knew that. And when you came over and stood behind him, he didn't even flinch.
So one thing of this Epstein file, once again, they had over 15 years with these Epstein files. Why they bring it out then?
Check this out. Just look. He did not even flinch.
No, sir. No.
He don't care. He's like, bro. I don't know what you want me to do. Do you want me to be afraid? I'm sorry. Go back and try it again. I'm sorry, Mr.
No, they're going to say is Biden couldn't release the files because it was, it was done under investigation. Okay, the files are under investigation. But if Trump's name was in it during the investigation before Trump ran again for presidency or even before, why didn't you mention it then? Why didn't they mention it then? That's my thing is. Y'all knew about it for how long? Oh, okay. Now y'all little dummies out here come to people's chat and social media, Epstein file, Trump files. It's Hakeem Jeffrey, and it's definitely Bill Clinton files. It's the Clinton files. But see, y'all don't want to look at that because y'all voted for Clinton. Oh, I voted for Clinton. He's in the files. Yeah, y'all president, y'all voted for is in the files. In the tub. In the pool. What? Stop it.
Pearson, I'm so sorry because you get off my shoulder. I'm so scared right now. I'm going to call the police on you. Big, angry black man.
There are a few reasons that we're running this campaign this year. One has to do with representation. How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I want to do this by partnering with organizations from the Boone Democrats to the Boone Republicans. I want to bring together different voices, dissenting voices, voices that may be more liberal or more conservative.
Oh, he got a haircut. Well, he had a haircut.
Point of sort of the radical middle. It seemed like that NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But
What
that
the?
was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday.
Subscribe, you guys haven't already. We're growing. 2033.
Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Boy, do I have some news for us. You got to hit those notes. News for us. News. It's like, come on, bro. You doing praise and worship? What you doing? Everything is an act. Everything is so fake. And
Obama's a beta male. He like gay men. He like his professor.
That's why I decided to vote for Trump. Like, I was tired of that BS, bro. Tired of it. He got corny daggone conversations with him and Kamala.
So, in the wake of the Kelly decision, immediately Donald Trump, Marsha Blackburn, Governor Lee called for a special session.
She look drunk right now.
Tuesday, and by the following Thursday, they've taken it. The only black majority district in the entire state.
They're basically backdooring racism through politics. They know the power of the people.
Look at the word racism. Look at him. Look at him.
Because if they thought on merit that they would win, they wouldn't have to resort to this cheating.
That's right. They're taking the front door, the side door, the back door. They're taking all the angles to say, how is it that we can work to dilute the power?
We need to have a playbook that.
That's real crazy. So they went to Kamala's house. He went to a restaurant, got the camera set up, and recorded them both on their fucking phones. Wow. Y'all could just got together and talk face to face.
Is born out of our ability to assume some risk, perhaps.
Big Mike, watch out.
We need to have basically a no bad ideas brainstorm. That's how I'm thinking about it. Like a good old fashioned no bad ideas brainstorm.
Isn't this something that she's been shopping around? No bad idea brainstorm. Hold on 1 second.
Look, this is a moment where there are no bad ideas. A no bad idea brainstorm is what I'd like to call it.
Damn.
And in that no bad ideas brainstorm, we talk about what we
Michael Robinson.
think about doing around the Electoral College.
Oh, shit.
We talk about the idea of Supreme Court reform, which includes expanding.
Obama ain't do nothing from Chicago. Chicago is trash. Obama was a president for 8 years, and Chicago got no help from Obama. I know. I lived in Chicago.
Supreme Court.
43 years old.
We invite a conversation about multi-members districts. We talk about, that if we win the Senate, which we should and we will, then the Senate Judiciary Committee.
If we win the Senate.
Take it easy on Obama.
We shall and we will.
Obama said Trump is ruining his marriage. That's crazy as hell. Obama, the Black Messiah, said that Trump is ruining his marriage between him and Big Mike. Really? Come on, man.
And say that when we win the Senate. I'm sorry, I'm not slow.
Should have rules that they put in place so when these people come before as nominees to the Supreme Court and lie, that they are held to account and consequence. Not just that somebody goes on cable news and says they lie, but that there are rules in place to actually penalize people for lying to a Senate Judiciary Committee. That we agree that it is right to have ethics rules for Supreme Court justices. And let's put those in place. Let's talk about statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
This is how you know Democrats are really getting desperate.
Say, look, this is a moment where there are no bad ideas. A no bad idea brainstorm is what I'd like to call it.
Damn.
And in that no bad ideas brainstorm, we talk about what we need to do and think about doing around the Electoral College.
We talk about the idea of Supreme Court reform, which includes expanding the Supreme Court. We invite a conversation about multi-members districts.
You ain't make fun of the wives. She make fun of herself on her own podcast on her brother. She said she don't like her husband. She hated him for 10 years.
should have
complain about the White
rules
House.
that they put in place so when these people come before as nominees to the Supreme Court and lie, that they are held to account and consequence. Not just that somebody goes on cable news and says they lied, but that there are rules in place to actually penalize people for lying to a Senate Judiciary Committee. That we agree that it is right to have ethics rules for Supreme Court justices. And let's put those in place. Let's talk about statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C. These are the things I think that we've got to do. We've
It's her and her brother on there. They complaining.
Red states from cheating, including blue states expanding their maps.
Yeah, no matter what happens, these radicals must not win no matter what.
Y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know in the comments below. If you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm back. And that's it. We have been helping people grow online. It has been absolutely amazing. We have helped many content creators get from zero to monetization in under 30 days. We even have a couple of these superstars who did it in 1 or 2 weeks. If you want to learn how to
mention of Bill Cassidy, attack on Thomas Massie.
I'm in the Oval Office, and we're in a fight against the worst congressman in the history of our country. His name is Thomas Massie. He's from Kentucky. I hope you're going to put him out of business tomorrow. He is so bad. Got an election coming up. He's running against a great guy, a great patriot, Ed Gilrain. He's fantastic. But forget that. Massie's the worst congressman in the history of our country, always voting against Republicans and good values. So get rid of Thomas Massie.
That was President Donald Trump live from the Oval Office, or I guess pre-recorded from the, that wasn't live. He was in the Oval Office when he pre-recorded it, a message to get rid of Thomas Massie because it's war, I tell you, war. He doesn't want Thomas Massie blocking up his agenda anymore, which Thomas Massie has been infamous for, because when you have such a thin, razor-thin majority in the House of Representatives for the Republican Party, individual congresspeople have much more power, and one or even two people could stymie a vote and demand things that they want. And that has been the case with Thomas Massie. Donald Trump, not a fan. In fact, this war is so big. This battle is so broad. Donald Trump is so intent on destroying Thomas Massie's political career that he sent the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to Kentucky to support his challenger.
And it's an honor to be here with all of you. I have to say up front, for the lawyers, that I'm here in my personal capacity as a private citizen, a fellow American, and a fellow combat veteran, here to support Navy SEAL Ed Gilrain.
By the way, I've heard his name pronounced Gilrain. I mean, there's I don't really even know how to pronounce it, but I know basically they're
Good one, Frog. 20 years ago. We talking about 2 years ago. Yeah, that's a big difference there, boss.
asking people to vote for the guy on the
That's a
ballot,
huge gap.
not Thomas Massie. And Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was there again to support his friend. Also, he was doing a Donald Trump impression, which I'm going to be honest with you. That's
You talking about Reagan now? Wow. We in 2026.
Yesterday, Thomas Massie was doing Donald Trump impressions. Today, it's Secretary of War Pete Hegseth doing Donald Trump impressions.
President Trump told me when he first offered me this job, he said, Pete, you're going to have to be tough as
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
The big bailout to the banks. Ain't did nothing for the Americans as far as lower class Americans. He took care of the elites. Obama took care of the elites.
And boy, was he right. He was right.
Yeah, they come after everybody in the Trump administration, and Donald Trump goes after some people who aren't in the Trump administration, like Thomas Massie. In fact, President Donald Trump not only recorded a message, but he was having a tele-rally from the White House to garner support, again, for Ed Gilrain, but also mostly against Thomas Massie.
I'll be doing hopefully a very powerful tele-rally tonight for a friend of mine, Ed Gilrain, who is a fantastic man, a fantastic hero, war hero, farmer from Kentucky's running against the worst congressman, in my opinion, worst Republican congressman in the history of our country. The guy's a total disaster, and you know who it is. Thomas Massie is the worst. So we have to get out and vote. We have to make sure that Ed gets there. I mean, Ed left the Republican Party because he couldn't stand Massie, couldn't stand watching him, couldn't stand how disloyal he was to your president. He left the Republican Party. But he came back, and he came back strong. He couldn't stand Massey, and neither can I. A bad guy. So get out and vote. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Good citizen. I said at the beginning of this video, we 2 hours and 18 minutes in, and so around that time, the first hour, I had said the same thing. All these politicians talking about tax the rich, and they all rich, and so they become millionaires. First they were saying tax the millionaires. Now they millionaires. Now it's tax the billionaires. It's crazy.
Bye. I didn't know that. I didn't know how Galbraith left the Republican Party because of Thomas Massey, and then came back to the Republican Party to beat Tom. I didn't know that. That's an interesting story, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'll have to process that. But it's going to be a big day. It's going to be a big day. In Iran, there is no attack, and I'm not like Donald Trump was planning.
Yeah, Rob, put the drugs down, man.
There was going to be a massive attack today. We were going to attack Iran. He was at a Trump RX event yesterday with Mark Cuban, and he said, yes, we called it off at the request of some of our Middle Eastern allies.
Well, other countries have come to me and they've said we were getting ready to do a very major attack tomorrow. I put it off for a little while, hopefully maybe forever, but possibly for a little while, because we've had very big discussions with Iran, and we'll see what they amount to. I was asked by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and some others if we could put it off for 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting very close to making a deal. And if we can do that where there's no nuclear weapon going into the hands of Iran, I think, and if they're satisfied, we will be probably satisfied also. We've informed Israel. We've informed other people in the Middle East that have been involved with us. And, it's a very positive development, but we'll see whether or not it amounts to anything. We've had periods of time where we thought pretty much getting close to making a deal, and it didn't work out, but this is a little bit different. Now, we're ready going tomorrow, very big, and not something I wanted to do, but we have no choice because we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
And there it is. That's the number one greatest hit of President Donald Trump's second term. We cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And he posted on Truth Social, I've been asked by the Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, and the President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. None of those, by the way, were pronounced correctly by me, to hold off on our planned military attack of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was scheduled for tomorrow, which is today. In that, serious negotiations are now taking place.
Jason.
In their
it's
opinion,
okay. Come on our side.
Allies, a deal will be made, which will be very acceptable to the United States of America.
Both sides, Republican and Democrat, ain't the best. But the Republican Party know what a woman is. They believe in God. Stop killing the kids as far as the babies. And no more homo blockers, period. The Democrat Party is a clown show. Rainbow colors and all that stuff. Red nose and big shoes.
America, as well as all countries in the Middle East and beyond. This deal will include, importantly, no nuclear weapons for Iran. Based on my respect for the above-mentioned leaders, I have instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Daniel Kane, and the United States military that we will not be doing the scheduled attack of Iran tomorrow, but have further instructed them to be prepared to go forward with a full large-scale assault on Iran on a moment's notice in the event that an acceptable deal is not reached. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. So, interestingly enough, Donald Trump was able to call off the attack, which freed up Pete Hegseth to go to Kentucky to stump for Ed Galbraith. And look, I mean, Donald Trump and the White House, they are a force to be reckoned with. In fact, Thomas Massey was asked about that. What is your take on President Donald Trump being able to remove people in these primary positions?
Based on results we've seen recently in Indiana with state senators, in Louisiana with Senator Cassidy, other races in the past, it seems that being a Republican in this day and age requires loyalty to President Trump.
Well, I don't draw too much from those races. First of all, Senator Cassidy also alienated some of the constituencies, whether it was for cutting spending or whether it was for MAHA. But he voted to impeach Trump. I have never done that. I've never even said an unkind word about President Trump. And then you have the state senators in Indiana. They sure enough crossed Trump, but they made the mistake of crossing their constituents. Their voters wanted them to redraw those lines, so they went against their voters. The difference here is I'm going for my voters in the minor instances where it conflicts with Trump. And that's what's got...
This what they want right here. Democrat Party, this they want as a man. Really? Really, Democrats? Really? Stop it.
Washington, D.C. mad. But I'm going to win. Look, I had 3 congressmen campaign with me on Saturday. And that's what you see in this race that you didn't see in Bob Good's race in Virginia. You had members of Congress go to Virginia and campaign against him. You can't find any members of Congress willing to do that in Kentucky.
If you lose, is it because of the pressure from the president?
I normally win 80 to 20. If the president had merely endorsed a warm body, that's his affectionate term for my opponent, is warm body from Central Casting, I would have won 60-40. The difference in this race, what people need to watch, is it's a referendum on whether the Israeli lobby can buy a seat in Congress and how much they're willing to spend to try, and in order to intimidate the entire Republican Party into having zero dissension on foreign policy.
Yeah, and that is what his message has been. Israel, AIPAC, the Adelsons, all these people who have been pumping money into the Republican Party to push Donald Trump's Middle Eastern plan to disarm Iran and to work with Israel. In doing so, Thomas Massie, not a huge fan of Israel at all, or any Congress people who accept money from Israel. And speaking of money, there's a lot of it. For a primary, this is the most expensive primary that there has ever been, ever, in any time, ever in history, ever.
There have been more than $32 million spent on a primary in this congressional district, which is now the most expensive House primary ever in the United States. Is it worth it?
You'd have to ask Miriam Adelson on May 20th if it was worth it. Because, they tried to buy my vote for 14 years and it was never for sale. Now they're trying to buy a seat here in Kentucky. I think they underestimated the reserve price of my constituents. They waded into this. They thought they could buy this seat with a couple million. That didn't work. And now they're throwing good money after bad. The thing that surprised me is how much money we've been able to raise. I don't have 3 billionaires who want to just throw their money away. I've got the grassroots, tens of thousands of donations. Average donation for me is about $80. And we've been able to go toe to toe. A lot of that 32 million is coming from our side, but it's coming from regular working Americans.
And of course, this race is being heralded by many as Donald Trump's revenge tour continuing. You heard mention of Bill Cassidy in Louisiana, who voted to impeach President Donald Trump. And you heard about the Indiana senators who also voted against their constituents, as Thomas Massie rightly pointed out. But Axios writes, Trump's revenge tour comes for Massie. Today's Kentucky primary is President Trump's biggest test yet of whether his iron grip on the Republican base can hold even as war and inflation batter his national standing. Now, is this a revenge tour, or is it President Donald Trump trying to put pieces in place to push forward his agenda? We ran this through RightPen, our conservative AI. What RightPen does is it takes any story that has any kind of left-wing bias or propaganda-like principles, it rewrites it. It takes out the spin and it tells you exactly what was missing from the article. Why? Because what's missing from the article is more important. What's missing from the article is how these people actually control the narrative. If they remove something and you never know about it, you don't know that you're being lied to. RightPen used Donald Trump. There is a clip of Mark Cuban at the White House yesterday for Trump RX. Mark Cuban, as you may or may not know, voted for and supported Kamala Harris. And President Donald Trump was asked about that.
It's pretty remarkable seeing you and Mark Cuban up there, and the fact that obviously Mark endorsed Kamala Harris back in 2020.
Well, he made a mistake. It was a big mistake.
But what does this say about what you two are building here?
Well, it says we love people. We love our country. He's got a...
He was a Democrat. Who else around there was all a Democrat? I was a Democrat. It's okay to switch, you guys. It's okay.
A good company, and he's going to do a lot of business with this. And
thanks, Rob. Appreciate that, man.
Amazon, through the whole group, and we're going to get drugs out. And Mark,
I'll be going live Monday through Thursday. You know what I'm saying? Trying to give you guys the facts and try to stay up to date with everything. I work a 3-day week. Well, I work 3 days. I work 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I work the weekend shift. I'm a weekend warrior. So that's why I don't go live during the weekend. I be at work.
wanted to be a part of it. And I think Mark was very gracious. He said, "This is something that really works. First time you've seen it."
I'm off this Friday, so I'll go live Friday as well.
And he had to believe that if he said it about me. You have to understand that. But look, I think I have a lot of respect for Mark, frankly, and I always have.
Yeah, and that is something that, billionaire to billionaire, they have a lot of respect. And Mark Cuban is now a big fan of President Donald Trump as well.
Thank you for having me, Mr. President. I think other than you, I've been the biggest proponent of TrumpRx.com. And the reason for that is Republicans want cheaper drugs, independents want cheaper drugs, Democrats want cheaper drugs, and together, I think we're going to do something special.
Right, J.D. Vance, never Trumper. Now he's the vice president.
What makes Cost Plus Drugs different is that when you click through Trump RX to our site, not only will you see a great price, but you'll see our actual cost and that we only mark it up 15%. And what makes this incredible, Mr. President, all the volume and all the people that are going to come from the site, as our volumes go up, our costs go down, which means we'll be ending up charging less to people over a period of time. So this is a special announcement. This is a special partnership. 559 of those drugs are ours, so we're really excited to be part of this. Thank you so much for having me. And
yeah, TrumpRx.gov, by the way, is the website, not TrumpRx.com. Mark Cuban, very excited to be making money from this partnership with the government. Look, it's going to be a big day. We may or may not attack Iran today or tomorrow or in the near future. Thomas Massey is facing his primary. People in Kentucky are headed to the polls like any minute now. It's going to be a big day. We'll see what happens. We'll see if President Donald Trump's latest endorsement works, if it pans out. If what happened in Louisiana happens in Kentucky, if what happened in Indiana happens in Kentucky, this is a very different race. It's a very different battle. And Kentucky is a very different place than any other state. These
subscribe. You guys have
conservatives. These are people that have a lot of libertarians. These are people who elected a Democrat as their governor. Anything could happen in this race. And I'm excited for our second daily podcast, Mark K. Saves the Republic, to see how it's going. Also later today, J.D. Vance will be voters.
Thought the damage from the landmark Calais ruling couldn't get any worse.
He just updated this 17 minutes ago. Let's get it.
The Supreme Court just dropped yet another bombshell that has Democrats, strategists, party leaders, and race-based gerrymandering architects.
So much winning. Trump said it. So much winning. So much winning.
Wiped out 2 more lower court decisions and sent them straight back with one unmistakable message. Calais is the law of the land, and it applies literally everywhere. But that's just the beginning. Because today, I'm going to show you just how devastatingly, historically far, the Calais shockwave is going to travel. And when we're done, you're going to understand why more and more panicked Democrats are sounding the alarm that their party may simply not survive this ruling. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, still riding the glorious wave of one of the most consequential Supreme Court decisions in American history that you made happen because of your unwavering support of the one and only Donald J. Trump. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. The Supreme Court issued 2 major follow-up orders in the wake of the Calais ruling yesterday, and both of them are devastating for the Democrat Party's race-based redistricting machine. Now, the first case is out of Mississippi. A 3-judge panel in the Southern District of Mississippi had sided with plaintiffs backed by the ultra-far-left NAACP, who claimed that certain state legislative districts diluted the black vote. Now, if you don't know what this vote dilution is a very creative gimmick that the far left came up with about 40 years ago to deliberately predetermine guaranteed Democrat seats. They exploited the notion that black voters couldn't get their preferred candidates into office as long as there were too many white voters in their district. So as to ensure racial justice, districts had to be redrawn so as to guarantee that black voters could elect candidates of their choice, i.e. Democrats. Otherwise, they're being disenfranchised, racially disenfranchised. And so this lower court actually ordered Mississippi to redraw its maps to address that alleged transgression, which is just code for you need to manufacture another guaranteed Democrat seat. It was a textbook application of the old pre-Calais Section 2 Voting Rights Act standard, the kind of judicial activism that Democrats have relied on for 4 decades to force the creation of majority-minority districts that deliberately discriminated against white voters. But yesterday, May 18th, the Supreme Court vacated that order and threw it out. In light of the Calais decision that officially recognizes such practices as blatant racial discrimination, Mississippi does not have to listen to that court order. The second case is out of North Dakota. The 8th Circuit Court of Appeals was examining a challenge to North Dakota's legislative districts, this time on behalf of Native American voters who claimed their political power was being diluted because of too many white voters. That's always the pretext there. So do you notice how voter dilution only ever applies to minority non-white voters, right? Never the other way around. Regardless, the 8th Circuit made an interesting but ultimately irrelevant distinction. It ruled that only the federal government can sue to enforce Section 2 of the VRA, not private parties.
You know what's funny? How come the Asian American, the Mexican Asian, how come other Americans not complaining, but it's only the Black Americans, Democrats, the ones tripping out here? That's crazy as hell. I have not seen one Asian American complain about the votes. The Mexicans not complaining about the votes. Who else? Jamaicans not complaining about the votes. Make it make sense, y'all, man. That's crazy.
Parties. But the Supreme Court, again, wanted nothing to do with it. They vacated that ruling, sent it back.
No Jewish American complaining about the vote.
Of the recent Calais decision. 2 more lower court decisions vacated, gone in the same week, all as an open declaration that a new sheriff was in town. Calais is now the law of the land. Racially gerrymandered district, for whatever justification you want to try to come up with, are now unconstitutional everywhere across the board. That's what happened as of yesterday.
You don't get the coverage?
Now, this is where it gets out.
Because it don't need no coverage. That's the thing. Why cover it? There's no need.
The Supreme Court, both, I should say, of these decisions by the Supreme Court were 8-1 decisions. Would you like to take a guess as to the sole lonely justice that actually voted against enforcing Calais? That's right, Justice Otto Penn. The gift that keeps on giving. Only Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
DEI.
Alone, again, arguing that the court should have stepped in to resolve the confusion rather than sending these cases back down. Again, joined by no one, not even Kagan or Sotomayor, because there's nothing to adjudicate. There is no confusion. You can't.
She don't know what a woman is, and she a woman. Make that make sense. And she got kids and married, but she don't know what a woman is because she's not a biologist. Stop it.
Weaponize this absurd notion of vote dilution anymore. Always working in one direction. Those days are over. Even for the other 2 liberal justices, they know what time it is. Justice Otto Penn is truly a one-woman island. Now, some in the media are just they're doing their best to downplay this latest SCOTUS action. It was just merely procedural. Just a couple of GVRs, nothing to see here. Don't be fooled. What the Supreme Court just did on May 18th is not bureaucratic housekeeping. It's the court methodically, systematically dismantling the entire architecture of race-based electoral manipulation that Democrats built over 4 decades, one case at a time. What we're seeing is nothing less than a sweeping
Trump is systematically blocking black voters who like to other race.
in this historic mid-decade redistricting war. And that's just talking about congressional seats. Because here's where this gets truly staggering in scope. And this is what most commentators are missing right now. But Democrats aren't. Democrats like Stacey Abrams, right, the Georgia Democrat who's built her entire political career on the idea that race-based electoral engineering equals justice. She's
a war is coming. I thought we was already in a war. What's going on? You said a war is coming. Which one is it, y'all?
Substack and in her multiple media appearances that the consequences of Calais are beyond devastating for Democrats. And she's not wrong about that. She's identified where Calais threatens to literally wipe the Democrats out. And there's nothing they can do about it. Wait until you see this. I know you keep telling yourself at some point in the future you're going to buy and store away a few dozen gallons of water just in case of the problem for Democrats. And the scope goes way beyond just congressional redistricting. That's what so many people don't get. Calais did not just address.
You live in D.C.? Are you talking like this so much on the chat? Come on, man. You got to wake up. Get off that plantation, bro.
That race cannot be the dominant factor in drawing any electoral district. Any electoral district. That means state legislative districts. That means county commission districts. That means school board districts. That means city council maps. In short, hundreds upon hundreds of districts that were deliberately drawn at the local and state level under the old Section 2 vote dilution standards are now legally and constitutionally vulnerable. Even the ACLU is acknowledging this, warning that this Calais ruling affects not only congressional redistricting, but it challenges state legislative and local.
Right. Steve Cohen represents the 9th district in Tennessee, and they telling black people they gonna lose they losing their vote. Steve Cohen's a white man, a short white man that loves KFC. How is a black lose their representation as blacks? And that's a white man. If I'm explaining myself right, trying to break it down right, this is crazy. Our Democrats losing their votes. Yeah.
Election systems
this shit's
across
stupid.
The country. Abrams' outfit, Fair Fight. I think that was the one that she got $2 billion.
Right, 20 years he been
elected
for 20 years. Steve Cohen been elected for 20 years in the 9th district of Tennessee, but they say it's racist. But y'all keep voting for the man.
A report projecting that Republicans could pick up as many as 30 congressional seats alone in 2026 and 2028. But that's, as they warn, that's just Congress. The downstream effect on state legislatures and local government across the country could be even more profound.
Accusation.
The Republicans have the chance.
There's no accusation at all.
Flipping hundreds of local seats because of the required redistricting post-Calais. The Democrats built their political infrastructure, their bench, their pipeline, their community organizing networks on a foundation of race-engineered local.
They saying black people losing their votes.
And Calais just
yeah, it's a white man representing their district. How y'all losing y'all vote? You have a white man in y'all district for 20 years.
And this brings us really, I think, to the most extraordinary analysis that I've read in the aftermath of this ruling. The American Spectator published a piece asking a question that really would have seemed outlandish to even the most optimistic conservative 3 months ago. And the question is simply, will the Democrats survive the Calais ruling? Will the Democrats survive this? And the answer the Spectator analysis gives is no. It's not a certainty, mind you, but it is a genuine, alarming possibility that they may indeed might not. That was a long way of saying, but probably not. Not just lose seats here, remember, not just struggle in 2026, 2028, but structurally, institutionally, perhaps permanently, the Democrats are poised to collapse as a viable national party. And here's why that conclusion isn't just hyperbolic. Let's talk about the numbers, because They're breathtaking. Ballotpedia, using data straight from the U.S. Census Bureau's 2024 American Community Survey, identified 100.
You said MAGA hates me. Are you serious, man? Get this guy out the chat, man. You gotta go, man. It's the point. Ain't no point in having a conversation with him, man. He said MAGA hate me or hate us, and we all MAGA in the chat. Or at least not all of us. Some of us is, but that's cool.
And 48 House districts that were drawn.
And that a representative can serve.
State of Tennessee, as a congressional representative, says, I got to resign after nearly 20 years in Congress because I can't win with the way the district was just gerrymandered. His name is Steve Cohen.
But he's not black.
He represents Tennessee's 9th district, which is a majority black district, or was. And he joins us now. Steve.
How are you doing?
I'm upset by this. I think it's really bad for the democracy, and I'm a fan of yours. So I don't like.
I just want to play the little part.
Explicitly with race as a predominant factor under the old Section 2 standard. 148. If you want to do some quick math, that's a full 1/3 of the entire House of Representatives. And of those 148 districts, 122 are currently held by Democrats. 122 seats. That's more than half the Democrats' entire 212-seat House caucus sitting on maps.
He don't know nothing at all. I've been live streaming for about 2 hours and 40 minutes. So he don't know nothing. He just jumping in thinking he knows something. At least sit in the chat, read the chat, see what I'm talking about, what the video talking about, then jump in with your opinion. Sad. Low IQ.
Calais just declared legally suspect. More than half their entire caucus. Built on a foundation of race-based cartography that the Supreme Court has now in a 6-3 decision condemned. And then, as of yesterday, fully confirmed. Now think about what that means. The Democrat Party didn't build its House coalition primarily on policy. It didn't build it on persuasion. It built it on racially engineered geography. For 40 years, Democrat-friendly courts and the weaponized Voting Rights Act gave them what they thought to be a permanent, judicially guaranteed structural advantage.
Right.
They could
Thank you, guys.
black and brown
We're growing.
voters in
Wow.
carefully drawn districts, guarantee safe seats, and build a House majority that was essentially immune to normal political competition. And what just happened is that Calais nuked that system. I mean, mushroom cloud and all, it's gone. Now, the immediate impact on congressional seats
How you doing,
take a couple
Gene?
of cycles for sure.
Welcome to the
play
chat.
out. Most
Good
of the
when all
redistricting
these
for
channels stop
2026 is
there.
already locked in. But
Uppity
here's the
attitude.
thing
That's
that
what's
should
up.
chill every Democrat strategist to their bones. 2030 is coming. 2030 is a full decennial census year. That means every single congressional district in the country, every 10 years, gets redrawn from scratch. All for 435. And every state legislature that draws those maps will now be operating under a Supreme Court precedent that says you cannot use race as the predominant factor. You cannot pack black voters into a district simply because they're black. You cannot create a majority-minority district because a federal court told you to back in 1992. You have to draw colorblind maps. And if you don't, those maps will be challenged and shot down in federal court just like we did yesterday. After 2030, under entirely redrawn Calais-compliant maps, the structural advantage the Democrats have enjoyed for 40-plus years simply disappears. Poof. Gone.
Time for a change.
And because those House seats are the foundation of everything else, fundraising, committee assignments, media oxygen,
Now the Democrats can't get their way. They want to lower the age limit of the Supreme Court justice. That's petty as hell.
ability to recruit candidates, the ability to claim relevance as a national opposition party, the downstream effects of losing that structural advantage are Calais plus a clean 2030 census is not a political setback for the Democrats. It's a checkmate, and it's one from which the Democrats may never recover again. So what do you guys think? That's what I want to know. Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else.
New images tonight of that terrifying car ramming on a busy street in Italy. Several people were seriously injured. Video posted on Facebook shows 4 men tackling the alleged driver to the ground. Authorities say this was not a terror attack. ABC's Marcus Moore has the details.
Tonight, 4 people remain in critical condition as new images capture the horror that unfolded in the small city of Modena, northern Italy. Video posted on X showing a silver car speeding down the street and onto a sidewalk Saturday afternoon. The car hitting and injuring 8 people, including 2 victims who had to have their legs amputated, according to Italian prosecutors. Witnesses chased the alleged driver, who authorities now say is a man in his 30s who was born in Bergamo, outside of Milan. Video posted on Facebook by a local politician showing the moment bystanders tackled the driver, who witnesses said was carrying a knife.
You like them too, Jason? They be coming with it too, man.
Into custody. This witness telling reporters, "I was trying to help the woman whose legs had been amputated. He ran away, so I chased him." Italy's prime minister and president both visiting survivors in the hospital today and thanking a good Samaritan who intervened. Giorgia Meloni writing on X, "What makes an ordinary person heroic is the moment when the heart chooses to do good, even when that involves a risk." Tonight, there were unanswered questions about the incident and a possible motive. Lindsay, investigators have been working to develop a profile on the driver who's 31 years old and was born in Italy. Authorities saying there's no evidence to suggest this was an act of terror.
That was 100% an act of terror.
Yeah, it don't make sense. You see him trying to swerve and hit people.
Yeah, so 2 victims died during that.
2 got legs amputated. So we got, is this the guy down here?
Yes.
Salim El Kudri.
Salim.
Wow. So he had a job application in 2021 to the university he had graduated in business economics from. And on that, he said, "You have to hire me as an employee, effing Christian bastards. You and your Jesus Christ on the cross, I'll burn it." Whoa. Okay. And this is the guy we're dealing with. Was he a Muslim?
100%.
Okay.
So it was an act of terror. They called the New Orleans situation an act of terror. That was literally the same thing.
Yeah, this is definitely an act of terror. It looks like it's against Christians, but the left is so woke in Europe that all the news reports just said car strikes, as if the car drove itself. No, a person shot.
This guy is a
wow.
There's multiple casualties, bro.
Here's a different angle, guys. This is unbelievable.
Damn.
An act of terror.
For sure.
Come on, man.
Sidewalk to sidewalk.
Just trying to take out as many people as possible.
That's fucking insane.
He's still riding his bike.
You ain't gotta try to stab people. It has gotten way worse. It's gotten way worse. The most common baby name in the UK is Mohammed. They done completely taken over.
And how much do y'all need to see for us to realize, for these leftists to realize, hey, it's putting people in harm's way. People run over cars and happen in New Orleans. They don't want to be racist.
That's exactly what it is.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
The image people have Sweden as a progressive country guided by
Greta.
solidarity and humanitarian values is long outdated. And we urgently need to talk about some of the things happening here and put all the pressure we can the coming days. In Sweden, people who came here as children, grew up here and built their entire lives here, are now increasingly being deported without their families to countries they have no connection to and that are very much not safe for them to be in. And these young people did not do anything wrong. They followed the path given to them and are especially children of labor migrants who, upon turning 18, now risk losing the right to stay here. And this is in light of Sweden becoming increasingly hostile and racist in its migration politics, like so many other parts of the world. And the Swedish government is now even negotiating with the Taliban to facilitate deportations, just to name one example. And these inhumane teenage deportations have evoked lots of anger in Sweden, and rightly so. So much that the government were forced to halt some of these deportations, but the problem is far from solved.
Yeah.
In the upcoming days,
right.
the Swedish government will present a proposal about this, and there is a huge risk that many still get left behind and have to leave their families and lives here to countries many have never even been to and don't know anyone in. And if we accept this, it will of course not stop here. It will continue to expand. The right to seek asylum is a basic human right and cannot be compromised. We must remember that these are not singular mistakes. This is a direct result of stricter migration policies and a hostile discourse that has been pushed for by the government parties, but also by the opposition.
Yeah.
And migrants have
The world loves
fought
Trump.
against and warned about the development where we have normalized pure dehumanization. A society that raises children, educates them, and then abandons them is failing. You cannot pick and choose which human rights to respect and follow. We cannot stay silent in times of injustice. Spread awareness both in Sweden and internationally. Show support to these people who have done everything they can to fight back and put pressure on the Swedish government.
Yeah, we gotta start shaming bitches like this, man.
Yeah, it makes sense why they used to shut people up.
I'm just tired of this dehumanization word and all that bullshit. That's what they're doing. They're making it seem like you're not a good human if you don't allow people to just,
Move to your country.
Yeah, come to your country. That's bullshit.
Uh-oh. Don't lose your minds, liberals, Democrats. What is that? Is that Obama's daughter? Hold on. Is that Obama's daughter wearing a MAGA hat?
They don't see it as political. They see it as pretty much
What
I'm just the evil person if you don't agree with me. But that's why the left tends to take the violence whenever they see someone who opposes their core values and opposes the things they stand for. They're like, no, you don't just disagree with me. You're actually evil and you need to be stopped. So they take it into their own hands and they be these vigilantes and they go out there and they think that what they're doing is like the moral superhero thing to do.
But what they don't realize that the left, the leaders are doing it for votes.
Exactly.
Y'all are just the real dumbasses.
Exactly. That's the difference. You see, I mean, every country has immigration laws. This is not a new thing at all.
Why they don't complain about other countries doing it?
It's only certain countries, only when a white country does it. Because if you look at Dubai has extremely strict immigration laws and extremely hard on crime. And you've never heard a single person.
Dehumanization.
Never heard no one say that about
They do
Dubai.
talk about it.
China, and nobody talk about China.
China,
Well,
you cannot move to those countries.
I think they put Muslims in internment camps in China.
Well, no, they do. They do talk about it a little bit. They do talk about like Afghanistan, how women don't have rights, but they don't talk about it enough. They cry about when, Trump and them trying to go over there and fix what's going on over there in Iran because they over there harming the women and all that.
What I'm doing, I'm saying it. Special advisor to Trump. Now, please tell Trump to save our life in Nigeria. They are killing Christians in Nigeria. Massacre Christians. If they say they kill Muslims, Muslims are being killed. By who? By Muslims. Look at.
Then they still cry. They're just real dumbasses. It's people that want votes and real dumbasses.
Yeah.
Well,
Emotional thinking people.
Yes, there you go.
I don't know if we can save New York, guys, but it's an American city. Maybe we can save it, but we gotta crank up these deportations, man. I don't know, man, because this is pretty bad. Because this is New York City, guys.
So we are not here begging you to recognize our humanity from the same powers enabling genocide. We are here to organize, to resist, and to win liberation. In the words of Malcolm X, by any means necessary.
That's an instant deportation.
To Jerusalem, from Nablus to Jenin, from Al-Quds to Jaffa and Haifa and Akka, and from the river to the sea. Yes, we mean every single inch of Palestine will be free.
Piece of shit. Shut up.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You look like Stephen Hawking, man. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Oh, I dare you to touch me. Holy shit. Shut the fuck up.
Asshole. What's Ben? Where are we going? It did not exist. Before it hurts, it did not exist.
Do it.
Do something.
I'm standing right here.
Do something.
I'm standing right here.
Oh, you ain't gonna do anything to say. You're not gonna do anything that you everybody say. Hands in my pocket, jackass. Shut the fuck up. You're talking to me, not him, dumbass. And you say,
Oh my God, you're proving the point again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation number.
This right here was insane.
Censor Sergeant, what's up? Yeah.
They were basically saying, hey, all Muslims, y'all gotta go.
Soros.
On their way out. They did one of the most heinous things that's possible. This is insanity.
What?
こんな燃え方しないですよ。火を放たなければ。自然火災じゃないですよ。これは。見てくださいよ、これ。
They did say you don't know what Allah is capable of.
This is sad, man. Every country has an issue with radical Islam. Not moderate, regular Islam, nothing wrong with them. But the radical Islam, the jihadists, every single country has a problem with that. Even the Muslim countries that wouldn't take the Palestine people still will never understand why they didn't do that or why they still will not do that.
A guy in Saudi Arabia, I think it was a president or a leader, he said, if y'all think y'all can reason with them, y'all are the fools. He verbatim said that.
You cannot. I'm confused. Oh. So this is at the protest that they had in the UK yesterday with the conservatives.
They've imported hostile, violent men into our communities, and then they've tried to smear us as racist or extremists for wanting protection of our women.
But this is the revolt. This is the peasants revolting. He needs to stop branding hard-working Brits as for far right. We just want to be heard, and he's ignoring us.
At the end of the day, do you think a civil war is inevitable here?
Yeah, it's been going on for years. I don't recognise my country no more. Keir Starmer is like an actual traitor.
Today we're here in the streets of London. We had the Big Ben right behind us here today, and today's set to be one of the biggest marches in the history of the United Kingdom. Hundreds of thousands of people are set to come in from all across the United Kingdom to come into the streets of London today. Right now, over 4,000 police officers have been employed into London, and they're using new facial recognition cameras to track who comes in and out of the protest. That is something that has never happened before, and at all the major stations like King's Cross, they have new cameras that have facial recognitions, and they're tracking quite literally everyone that comes into this protest. And they have even banned journalists from entering into the United Kingdom to cover this event. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, has been outspoken against those that are attending this march, saying that this march is led by convicted thugs and people that are spreading division and hate here inside the United Kingdom. He called it racist, actually.
Tomorrow's march in London is a reminder of what we're up against in the battle of our values. The organisers, including convicted thugs and racists, are peddling hatred and division. Plain and simple.
Tommy, you've done it again. We've done it in March. We're leading a revolution in Britain, right? From here in the middle. You had your revolution through the election ballot box with Donald Trump. We're having ours right now on the street.
The entire streets of Whitehall all the way to Trafalgar are full of people. And what does this say about the current state of the United Kingdom? What do the British people want?
It says that the public are ready. We're ready, right? We've been asleep for too long.
Ready for what?
We're ready to fight for our country, right? We're ready. And what you're witnessing now is a formation and an organisation. We're going to spread this through every town and city, and we're getting ready for the Battle of Britain in 2029. Our next election is the most important election in this country's history, because the enemy are no longer invading on the borders where they are, but the enemy's here. They're here. They're here. And they're betraying us.
In a Christian country, people over there are getting in trouble for. There's a pastor over there who They arrested him for preaching John 3:16. He even went up there and said, I didn't say anything about abortion or anything. But that's what they're doing it under the guise of, Christianity's anti-abortion. So if you go and you preach Christianity, they're going to say it's anti-abortion, and then they're going to arrest you. So I think that's insane. But the U.S. will get there. If you let the woke mind virus take over and the left completely takes over the U.S., that is how they would want it. But remember the Antifa people.
That's happening to multiple people. It's another guy. I just seen him the other day. This happened to him also. He was preaching the word Christianity. He was preaching Christianity, and they literally arrested this guy. We saw the black preacher. I don't know if y'all seen that video. It's been multiple preachers over there that's getting arrested, guys.
I think it's been like a total of 12 to be exact. In this year alone.
Might be more.
You think this year alone?
You think there will actually be a civil war in a first world country in today's time? Because that's how they was on that video. They was kind of almost saying that.
They set the ballot box. We won. We didn't totally win it because but Donald Trump. We did our thing with that. We knew what we were supposed to do, because we were seeing it. More than 3 million people came across that border. How many else came across now? 0.
But it might be different there because, think about it. They have a whole village of Muslims. They just say, "We'll see about it."
Yeah,
and the UK people say, "Let's see about it."
It could happen.
It could, but it's not going to happen because they don't have enough people. But at the same time,
they don't have guns.
Well, yeah, they don't have guns, but they are letting a lot of people over there. They're still letting it. Think about it. They still going on. We stopped ours. We think terrorist attacks are going to stop. It's not going to stop. We just literally seen 8 people get slapped by a freaking car.
Yeah.
It's continuing to happen. People are burning churches down. We saw in the UK, they literally held a school where they were sex trafficking kids. Guys.
All done by, I'm sorry, but only one religion. I'm sorry. And it's not all of them, but it is always.
But in America, I promise, man, we're not letting this shit happen. And we chose our fate when we elected Donald Trump.
We're back live from the National Mall at the Rededicate 250 event where thousands...
What's up, Pat?
There's some other clips. It was the 250-year celebration. Okay. Well, for our 250-year...
Appreciate you guys. 3 hours and 5 minutes in. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Celebration of America being a country. This is what our leaders came up with. We were praising Jesus.
Amen.
Amen. I mean, it's been multiple. Mark Rubio. I seen J.D. Vance. I seen Donald Trump. I seen everybody. They were posting about Jesus because that's what we do in America. I could never see the left and the Democrats and Joe Biden and them over here doing this crap right here. Doing this stuff right here. I could never see them doing this.
They would not. I mean, Obama was the first president to ever say, Republican or Democrat, he was the first president to ever say this is not a Christian.
Oh, good. Nation. That's what's up.
Getting back to our values, guys.
We're back live from the National Mall at the Rededicate 250 event where thousands are gathering for a day of prayer and faith. For more, let's bring in the Gen Z faith influencer, Anthony Gross. Anthony, you're everywhere now. What is your hope for this event? For people watching this event, what do you want them to take away?
I think hope. I think hope is my hope. And getting alignment and unification.
He sound like a recording.
He look like Charlie and sound like Moto.
And place their fate in the hands of God.
I'm telling you, this is the next president right here.
Hey, Marco Rubio.
Marco, I told you, man, I got money on you, Marco.
Yeah, guys, I got JD. Me and Todd been having a debate, but
put $100 on.
I don't know. They like Marco, guys. A lot of people aren't liking Marco.
I'd be happy with either one.
Big Marco.
JD and Marco. Obama's a gay Muslim. I believe so.
Now that is what I love to see in America. That's what I love to see in the world.
Between the mortal and the immortal, the earthly and the divine, God has always been.
Right, Obama and the Biden administration, everything was all gay and rainbowed and stuff like that. Yeah, common sense. Everybody got suits on, looking good and clean.
Been there long before us. He always will be, now and forever, world without end. And he will always be waiting to encounter us, secretly hoping in his divine, limitless, sacred heart that we will humbly turn away from the trappings of this world and seek him first with all our soul.
Yes, Jesus Christ is Lord. Amen to that. Amen to that.
Not only as individuals.
Man, we're back, man.
Yeah, we are, man.
Hey, man, we're back, guys. We have to keep it going. I think we need to put it into the Pledge of Allegiance. When they got to the Pledge of Allegiance, let's pray, man.
Yeah.
If we serious.
You know what?
If we're serious.
At Texas A&M, every time they have a sporting event, they pray and then do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hey, bro, if we're serious, we would do that. Hey, we're going to say, oh, not everybody in the same religion. But what are we
this
then?
country's religion is Christianity. We pray to Jesus.
Of the Lord and the king's house, and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of the Lord, and in it.
They had John Wayne playing Genghis Khan, so all this stuff about Jesus being white makes no sense, you know. And then only that, they got this movie called The Odyssey out, none but DEI. Check that out.
His own house he prosperously effected. And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night and said to him, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself for a house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven, that there be no rain, or if I command
you didn't see The Passion of the Christ?
To devour the land,
It was
or
a good movie.
Send pestilence among my people, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Now my eyes shall be open and my ears attent to the prayer that is made in this place. For now I have chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. And as for you, if you will walk before me, as David your father walked, and do according to all that I have commanded you, and shall observe my statutes and my judgments, then will I establish the throne of my kingdom according to as I have covenanted with David your father, saying there shall not fail you as a man to be ruler in Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I pluck them up from the roots out of my land which I have given them, and this house which I have sanctified for my name will I cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among nations. And this house which is high shall be an astonishment to every one that passes by it, so that he shall say, why has the Lord done thus to this land and to this house? And it shall be answered,
that's what's up.
Because they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, and laid hold on other gods, and worshiped them and served them. Therefore has he brought all this evil upon them.
Yeah.
We heard what Obama said.
We did. And I think that if you look at the legislation that Trump has passed versus the legislation that Obama and them passed, I mean, I think that whenever one allows mass sinning to occur with abortions and things like that, transgender and all that, you know. So I saw Josh Howerton, the pastor of Lake Point Church, he put it like this. He was like, you know, Trump is basically like your old school blue collar dad who respects Christianity. He might not be the deepest in it, but he respects it. And I think that the laws and the legislation that he puts in place show that, versus, you know, on the other side, well, they can claim to believe in Jesus and all these things, but then you pass laws and legislation
that's against the Bible.
What about everybody? Look, man, we can't bend the knee to our religion, like I said, in school, because that's the problem with probably why everybody's having all these mental problems.
Or is it? That is why.
If we introduce it into school, then it would be, I believe that a lot of these mental issues that we think we're seeing, it would change. It's not going to change dramatically.
100%.
But I think it would change at least a little bit.
They might also just need to get rid of something.
Speaking of that, watch this, you guys. This is going to be funny. Check this out.
Did y'all see the White House claiming Drake is MAGA? They done edited this man's album cover to where he's now holding an iced out MAGA chain.
Mental illness,
They
y'all.
said, we calling you out, Drake. We tired of you being a closet MAGA. You
Closet
need to stand tall
MAGA.
with your
What
sister
the?
Nikki and claim your MAGA status. They said, we're not going to keep doing you all these favors behind closed doors and you acting like you don't fuck with us. When you know that we know that you fuck with us. So go ahead and come out. Let everybody know that you MAGA. Hell, it ain't like everybody can't tell already. You out here suing your motherfucking label because you lost a rap battle. You surround yourself with PDFs just like the rest of these MAGA motherfuckers. We hear you like them young, allegedly. You've been playing the victim for 2 years after you the one who started the shit, then got your ass whooped, and then want to claim, oh, they jumping me. The administration saw that shit and was like,
That's how dumb these people are. They see something and go crazy. Really?
yes, he's definitely one of us. He's one of us, and he needs to be exposed. He needs to be exposed because we're tired of him pretending like he's not one of us when he
Right.
We need that clout. Who knows?
Right,
This may
censor.
help your album sales because one thing MAGA loves is a bag of hot garbage.
Boy. So we got to talk about a full-blown black liberal meltdown that is happening over Drake, the rapper, refusing to condemn or to say anything about the White House using his latest album, Iceman, as promotion for ICE, right?
So why not?
If you guys aren't familiar, Drake is a rapper. He is probably the biggest rapper in the world at this point. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of Drake. They've listened to Drake. Again, huge artist. And he just came out with a new album called Iceman, which is very good, by the way, right? Probably one of the best Drake albums.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Like and subscribe, everybody.
But I'm generally a pretty big fan of Drake.
Thank you.
But he just came out with a new album.
He was in Degrassi.
Cover of the album.
That's a good TV show, the Degrassi.
Michael Jackson's famous glove, okay? And of course, the woke revolutionaries are pissed off because they already thought that Drake was not really black, okay? Being half black, half white. Also, I believe he's Jewish as well, too. Yeah, they already were questioning his blackness. And now they're really mad because the White House has jumped on the trend of posting memes featuring Drake's album cover. As you can see here, the White House posted this saying, iced out, right? So it's the MJ glove with the MAGA chain. I personally...
Well, it's an outrage. Trump also posted an AI image of him and the alien walking down somewhere by the airport, whatever. Was outrage for that? These people are very selective when they come to outraging. That's sad.
I think this is pretty funny. The White House is not the only entity that has done this. I mean, we've seen a lot of corporate entities do this, including sports teams, etc. So this is something that a lot of entities are doing because of how big the album promotion was. And for whatever reason, the woke revolutionaries are losing their minds, right? So, of course, they're saying that this is white power, okay? Scarface,
Wow.
who's a rapper, says that here's another good one. This means white power. The word MAGA was typed at the bottom of that hand gesture on Drake's album, and I know they know what that meant because I know what it means. How could they not? And this was posted on the White House's page. Time to go. Yeah, so they're now accusing the White House and Drake.
Isn't the Democrat Party claiming white power, chanting white power back in the day? Oh, okay.
Of signaling white power, okay, because of this, right? This is white power.
Damn.
So with that being said,
And Drake Canadian.
Some of these people whine and cry
Drake not even a whole American. He Canadian. Am I right?
from the woke revolutionaries because they're demanding that Drake come out and to condemn the White House, to denounce the White House for using his album, okay, as
stupid
promotion for.
Let that man market how he want to market.
Well too, right? So they're using his album as promotion for ICE, right, deporting illegal immigrants. And I want to talk about this because I am hoping that Drake does not fold to the mob here. Okay, it's been a few days since the album has come out, and these people are now upset because Drake hasn't said anything yet, despite it being at least 3 or 4 days since the album's been out. So without further ado, let's get into it. And also, by the way, disclaimer, I'm hoping that I don't get copyright dinged. Okay, so I'm going to play some of this music. If it goes silent, that means I had to silence the music in order to get over the copyright claim. So I'm hoping that there's no copyright claim on this. However, we're going to see. So let's get into it.
And yet, Drizzy Drake has not come out and said one word. This has been up for 2 days. 2 days, y'all. He ain't said shit. They are remixing his shit on the White House page on TikTok. And this man ain't came out and said a word. I have seen artists come out the exact same day and tell that man to take that shit down or you're going to be dealing with a lawsuit. Multiple people have done this. I mean, Beyonce, Eddie Grant, the estate of Isaac Hayes, the White Stripes, Aerosmith, Rihanna, the Rolling Stones, all issued cease or desist orders. Or they
Johnny Boy.
But yet Drake is really fucking quiet. You know why I say he not like us? Because once again, the White House is very comfortable with using his music. But it never done that shit with Kendrick. And when it comes to the black community, he teeters. He jumps to this side when it's beneficial for him. In my eyes, Kendrick will always be better than him. And it's not just about the music. It's the character. It's the morals. And it's the black pride in him. But go off, Drake.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. These people are some of those racist people that I've ever heard. I'm trying to figure out what separates some of these pro-black from the Klan at this point, right? I mean, they really do sound like Klansmen when I hear them talk, okay? They love to question somebody's blackness if they don't 100% agree with the pro-blacks, right? Drake, I don't believe is that outspoken on social issues, and I think that bothers the pro-blacks. This is why, again, they're trying to strip him of his blackness. Because he does not completely align with their political agenda. Right? He doesn't outright support their political agenda, at least as far as I know. But at least in one of his lyrics, he did say if he could vote, he'd vote for Tiana Trump. Right? So I think that's probably like a hint that, that's probably where he's at politically. But again, I don't know, right? I have no clue whatsoever. I just find it fascinating how he is demanded, right, to show or to prove or to demonstrate his blackness by these woke revolutionaries. It's so funny to me.
Everyone calls me crazy until I'm right. But my thing is, I'm a Virgo, so I know I'm always right. I posted that video about Drake and the Iceman thing being weird. Why would I log into Twitter? This is the first thing I see. We're just going to put it right here.
Right, HM, it's crazy.
Right. But I'm crazy? Like, y'all have no idea what this does for my ego and, like, me never being wrong. Like, when I tell you so many Drake boyfriends, dare I say, were on my last video where I was saying, at the very least, Iceman in a red, white, and blue feels tone deaf. Like, I said at the very least. And people were like, you're way too woke, like, this is such a reach. Okay, is it a reach now? The official White House page, you can go on Twitter and go to the official White House page and see that they posted that, talking about iced out with a MAGA chain. Am I too woke now? People are like, well, he can't control what the White House does. Okay, but is he going to tell them to take it down? Do we think that Drake is going to tell them to take it down?
But why though? Right? Like, why?
With publicity.
What? Right? Why? It's a meme. I don't understand the problem. I don't understand the issue. It's not just the White House that was posting memes like that. There are other entities posting memes like that as well, too. Why is it that they have to demand that the White House take it down? Who cares? I don't see what the big deal is here. I really don't. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a big album. Everybody's promoting it. Like,
literally, they promoting it.
It's so wrong for the White House to get in on the fun. I don't get it. I really don't.
No, I don't think so. And also, why does the White House feel like they can do that? Like, and like, obviously they can do whatever they want, but I'm saying, like, if Beyonce were to come out with the album, do you think that MAGA would use that as a promotional opportunity to be like, Cowboy Carter MAGA? No, like, they wouldn't. But why wouldn't they? Because they know Beyonce don't play that. Like, they know that she would be like, take the shit down. Is Drake gonna say, take the shit down?
Damn, nobody ain't saying nothing, huh? That's crazy.
So. And I also heard something about, in one of the songs, he talking about, they don't like me because I'm fair skinned and Jewish. You have entirely lost me, Drake. You never had me. But you lost me.
Well, I mean, he's right? He lost you because there's truth, right? Because he's half black.
Damn,
right?
Johnny
and
Boy, it's
Jewish
crazy.
as well too. Yeah, I mean, the pro-blacks don't like him, right? I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, he's correct. He's spot on. Yes, you guys are racist, right? He knows this.
The official White House Instagram page just posted this AI-generated Drake iced out album cover with a MAGA chain. And for all the Nick Cannon, Stephen A. Smiths, and Amber Roses of the world that say, how come y'all wasn't hating on Trump when he was in politics and we like the culture y'all was saying about him? Hey, this illustrates how you can love black culture and hate black people. The community that cultivated and birthed hip-hop culture is now being assaulted in more ways than some by this current administration, and they have no problem with posting memorabilia or aesthetics from hip-hop culture, the same culture they criminalizing and demonizing, even though they love it. What's something that's classy when white folks do it and trashy when black folks do it? Listening to hip-hop, doing anything that's correlated to hip-hop culture. They playing in our faces. They can use the aesthetics that come from our culture and our community at the same time. They're making it hard for us to get to the polls, making it hard for us to get healthcare, making it hard for us to get quality education. But hey, our culture, they can always engage in cultural exchange for that. And Drake, I know you in album promotion mode. You just dropped 3 of them, but you got to say something about this. You need to go and come out. Everything that's going to happen in the Black America, you need to say something about this.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. They're demanding that he come out and denounce White House. This is crazy, man. It really is. These people, they're actually authoritarians, right? They really are. They really are. It's crazy.
We have news from the White House. They tweeted this, iced out, and it's a picture of Drake's album cover.
Put some bass in your voice.
Man, but
man up, bro.
A MAGA chain. I guess we have some Drake fans in the White House.
Damn.
The OVO administration. Imagine living long enough to watch Young Money grow into old MAGA. Nicki Minaj recently came out as a Republican. She had no choice. Her house kept getting swatted.
Yeah. So also for reference as well too, Nicki Minaj and Drake, at least back in the day, they were very close. Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Drake.
Somebody got his balls there.
So
That's
they're
a
all
good
kind
one.
of affiliated, right? And this is why they're upset. This is why a lot of these pro-blacks, they're sounding the alarm because they're like, wait, Nicki Minaj is MAGA, right? Nicki Minaj is MAGA now. And Drake and Nicki, at least at one point in time, were close. I'm not sure how close they are today, but, they were very close. So if Nicki's MAGA, and then you got Drake out here having his album cover be used by the White House, then he must be MAGA as well, too. And this is what they got a problem with.
She reached out to Governor Gavin Newsom. He wouldn't do anything. So, Trump was the next best. The Democrats couldn't help, so the Republicans stepped in. Nicki Minaj, you are setting a dangerous precedent. I live in New York, and this is our governor, Kathy Hochul. Now, Miss Hochul, I'm going to email you a list of demands, and if you can't meet them, I may have to follow Nicki Minaj's lead. I don't even think they can vote. I know he can't vote. She might be able to, but definitely not you.
What?
He doesn't come out and rebuke this. He's an alt-right pipeline. I've said it on this channel multiple times. I've done the deep dives. I've done the 40-minute long video where we expose Drake being connected to the alt-right pipeline
all out, huh?
through the company
40-minute
Happy Dad,
video.
and how Happy Dad was acquired by 1789 Capital, which is Rebecca Mercer and Donald Trump Jr. I've done that content already. This video is a layup. You either rebuke this or you're down with it. I understand there's a bunch of other brands coming out and doing it because it's a trend. But
These are my other videos, you guys. These are my videos of me.
Being down with the White House doing this is a statement. That statement is everything that is happening in this country through this administration, you are okay with. You're down with it. Not only are you down with it, you support it. And I guess the question becomes, if you're a Drake fan, are you cool with your boy being cool with this?
Yeah, I am cool with it, right? If a Democrat was in office and they started posting memes of one of my favorite artists, right, promoting their album or whatever, would I really be upset about it? No, right? I wouldn't be on the internet and say, oh, they must come out and denounce the Democrats for using this as a promotion, right? Like, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, okay, cool. But these people actually really demand complete and total agreement with their political views, right? Not only do they demand that, they demand that any kind of indication that you may not align 100% with their political views, that you have to come out as an artist and to affirm that you stand with the far left mob. And if you don't do that, then you're alt-right. Okay? Apparently Drake is a part of the alt-right pipeline. I'm not entirely sure how that is the case. Okay, but this is the argument that they're making. And it really shows you how insane these people are. They're so insane. At the end of the day, the White House posted it. It's not a big deal. It's a meme. Who cares? Drake does not have to come out here and denounce it. He doesn't have to say anything about it. In fact, it's better if he doesn't say anything about it, because that will help him remain non-political, right? Which he's done a great job as an artist of doing, right? A lot of these artists, they get involved in politics. They have to virtue signal to the far left, right? They feel the need to do that. Hopefully Drake does not feel the need to do that, and he just continues to stay silent, right? He doesn't need to say anything about it. He doesn't need to denounce it. He needs to just let the promotion do what it's doing right now, which is very successful, by the way, right? All of this is promotion. He just needs to let the promotion continue. He doesn't need to get involved in politics. He doesn't need to denounce the White House. He doesn't need to do any of that. And I hope he doesn't do that, right? I hope he does not fold to the mob. Okay, this is not the first time Drake has got major backlash from the pro-black. And honestly, Drake is big enough that he doesn't need them. So screw him, right? F them. You do not need to capitulate to their demands. You don't need to say anything at all. And I hope that Drake doesn't say anything. Or if he does say something, then he tells them to kick rocks, right? He's not going to be denouncing or condemning anything. But we're going to see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
It's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's start in the UK before we make our way to the US. We saw huge numbers
Thank you.
against mass immigration, marching against the leftist government of Sharma. The aerial shots of London paint a picture, and they show that.
All right, you guys. It's been 3 hours and 30 minutes. My wife is at home. I got to give her my attention. She deserves it. I'll be back tomorrow for you guys. You guys are a blessing. We're growing together. Common Sense channel. Again, I'll be going live Monday through Thursday. I work the weekend shift, so I try to go live as much as I can. Hit the all button. I'm here for you guys. And also check out my other videos. Comment on them. Let me know. Do better. Talk more. Tomorrow, I'll be back. Thank you.